please to rise to the invocation and remain standing for the pledge to the flag. Father, we thank you so much for this another opportunity to come together to discuss the business of the people of this great county. We pray for your guidance and your wisdom in all things that we deliberate this evening. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First item is our agenda approval. We've got some appearances coming this evening. We've got I'm going to ask this board if we could, we're going to do something a little different with your permission. I've got some attorneys that's going to be here about 6:20. For the matters of bringing this board up to date on some pending litigation. So I'm going to ask that wherever we are about 6:20 that we adjourn into executive session for that specific purpose to discuss that pending litigation. And we will come back out. Should be about time for planning board presentations at 7. Then after that we will finish with whatever business we have left. That's my request. If there's nothing else on the floor, I'll ask for a motion.
Does that need to be stated in that particular?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so, sir.
So you want to mention the agenda?
Please.
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second.
Motion on second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve the minutes for the March 17, 2015 Commissioner meeting. Everyone had a chance to look at it. If there's no corrections,
Make a motion to approve.
second. Motion to approve as written. And second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Been noted the public comments are to be limited to our agenda items only, and the documents from this meeting are located in the clerk's office and on the Board of Commissioners website.
Is this the right time?
Yeah, we completed the agenda that I had. I apologize.
That's okay. I think some other people are here to address that. I just wanted to make my comment as to where Mr. Plank's situation was, and then I was going to leave. If this is an appropriate time, because I've got to be somewhere else later.
I think
Is it item we can move on the agenda?
He just needs to run through the consent and then it's the very next.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. We'll get there.
all right. Next item is our consent agenda. First item, consideration to approve to renew the MOU with Effingham County Board of Education for the use of 7 school buses. Second item, consideration to approve to renew the MOU with Effingham County Board of Education for the use of schools as disaster shelter. Item number 3, consideration to approve to renew the MOU with the Georgia Department of Public Safety for antenna receiver space on the county tower located at the transfer site on Courthouse Road. Item number 4, consideration to approve to renew the MOU with the Georgia Forestry Commission for antenna receiver space on the county tower located at the transfer site on Courthouse Road. Item number 5, consideration to approve to renew the cooperative agreement with the Georgia Forestry Commission. Item number 6, consideration to renew the agreement with Moreland Altobelli Associates Incorporated for on-call right-of-way services. That completes the consent agenda. I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the staging. Second.
Motion and second to approve as stated. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. All right. Next item, old business. First item, consideration to approve the payment for permits issued to date for Blanford Crossing.
Mickey Kicklighter here on behalf of Mr. Plank. The issue from Mr. Plank's perspective is pretty simple. He had filed a bankruptcy, so whether or not he has a claim is controlled by what the U.S. trustee does. His bankruptcy attorney, who is Lehman Franklin, has met with the U.S. trustee. They have not gotten a response back on whether or not the U.S. trustee is going to open the bankruptcy and make a claim. And therefore, from Mr. Plank's perspective, there's nothing he can do at this time till he gets direction from the U.S. trustee. And with that, if y'all don't mind, I will be excused. Thank you.
I have a question.
I won't be excused quite yet.
Along those lines, I don't have the wordage. What were the two considerations that we were looking at as to whether, if we ended up letting it go to the
I
judge?
think we were talking about sending it to the court for either filing an interpleader or asking for declaratory judgment on it.
We are certainly not opposed to either one, interpleader or DJ. I think an interpleader is more appropriate, but whatever y'all want to do, we don't care. Because quite frankly, it'll either be the U.S. trustee or not. It won't be Robert individually.
I just want to verify that with both parties about how they felt on that.
That'd be excused.
Yep.
You don't need me to.
If I may, while you're coming up, for the board's information, I think this board has, if you've looked at all the information, we previously decided that this is a valid agreement. The agreement was assigned. It was assigned to Atlantic Southern, which became Certus.
Yes, sir.
And there was another party involved, which was Carey Incorporated. So this agreement is sitting out there between the county, which the county owes money under, unless somebody corrects me. And we just don't know who it's to be paid to. So Mr. Plank, through Attorney Kicklighter, petitioned that they were still a party and wanting to receive compensation under that agreement. Greenland Developers.
Yes, sir. And I'm Dan Snipes. I represent, along with Steve Russian, represents Greenland Developers. As I understand the issue, and I guess, because I read through what Mr. Allen had presented with the board materials, from Greenland's perspective, what we don't want to have happen is have Mr. Plank's claim resolved by the bankruptcy court, and then we have to come back later to you and ask you then to make the payment to Greenland as the proper assignee, and then you tell us, wait a minute, you're asking us to make a legal decision, and that's something that's more appropriately made by a court. So from Greenland's perspective, I think that I concur with Mr. Allen's recommendation to the board that the matter be interplayed into the court, and then that way that sets the Superior Court as the appropriate body then to come in and say, between these competing legal claims, this is the legal, this is where the money should go. Because what I could envision happening is the bankruptcy court make a decision about Mr. Plank's case, and then we're back here again asking you to essentially either go through a chain of title or to make a legal claim. So at the end of the day, for Greenland as we stand today, we would concur with Mr. Allen that there be an interpleader filed so that the money's filed at the registry of the Superior Court, and then let the court make the determination.
Well, that was our goal, was explained to us, because we felt at this particular time, I can speak for myself, but there's questions about the contract, and with the two parties, we felt we needed a judge to determine some of the legal necessity of it.
And we came prepared to answer questions about why we feel Greenland is entitled to the money. However, it was my sense that that's maybe not the decision y'all want to make, so.
And maybe for our legal counsel, do we have documentation where the agreement with Tara, is it?
Terry's way out, was told for that.
Where it was assigned to service, and then where it was assigned from service to Greenland?
There was a foreclosure. So because they lost the property with the deed that transferred all interest that Tara had in the property, that's how the bank wound up acquiring it, is through the foreclosure. But you go back to the deed to secure debt and what rights were transferred under the deed to secure debt to the bank, and then there was a foreclosure on that deed to secure debt. So
if I may interject, I do have a copy of all those documents that I was going to leave.
Well, frankly, I'll say this to you, and I don't know, you could go through all that with us tonight if you choose to do that, but I'll say this, there are so many points on both sides, and I don't know how much time you've taken to actually read the contracts, from like the beginning contract and then what got transferred, and all the different sections of the contract, but I just seriously doubt that you want to leave it in the hands here and not have it go to a judge. There's a lot of different questionable things within the contract that would take, in my opinion, hours to hash out.
well, that's why, like on behalf of Greenland, we would concur with what I understood his recommendation to be, which would be the county would interplead, pay the money into the registry of the court, and then let the parties with a claim to the money fight it out in the Superior Court, which is, well, that's the reason I got brought into it. So
It would seem to me that that's the issue as to who we owe the money to. And since we already have on record two opposing sides, each asking that the money is theirs, then, and I believe our counsel has advised us this, we can't make the right decision, because if we decided it all goes to Greenland, then the other side can sue us and say, well, it's ours. And then the other, so we give it to the court and let the court decide.
most likely, Mr. Chairman, we'll wind up in court one day anyway, so.
Hopefully not with us.
Yeah, we're just excuse y'all from the party.
There you go. All right. Anybody else?
So, do you have a recommendation as far as the interpleader or the declaratory?
Yeah, our recommendation is file the interpleader.
Okay.
Ask the court.
Would be alternative.
We do have competing claims. We did have a letter signing from Robert Blank to Terra and Atlantic Southern Bank got absorbed through the FDIC into
Started.
So it has been a complex history of events that got us to this point, and we think the best thing to do is interplead it and allow each side to present their claim to the Superior Court judge who can make that determination.
And I don't mean to clog this up, but I think it would be important to ask this question this time. I see some wordage in here about since it's never been dedicated to the county. Is the infrastructure still not dedicated to us? And is there a way for us to have this dedicated to us by one of these parties? How can we kind of look out for that interest at the same time here?
From Greenland's perspective and speaking with the Burns about this matter, I believe we can work out an acceptable deed that Mr. Gottwalt and Mr. Allen would find acceptable. I think we can get that done in very short order.
Okay, so we can make that part of our motion that whichever party is deemed owning the infrastructure will create a deed to have that assigned to us as well.
Basically entering that as part of the interpleader.
Good point.
Yep, we need it on our infrastructure. Okay.
Thank
What
you.
is the time frame of the interpleader? Are they?
We can prepare the complaint and file it fairly quickly. How long it takes at that point for the parties, typically the two parties that have the claim will work out a discovery schedule and a schedule for when they actually want the case heard by the court.
So the estimated worst case scenario would be?
Well, with anything that involves litigation and scheduling, the worst case scenario could be that it could take 12, 18, 24 months. But I think the county's involvement in it, once they pay it into the court, then the county gets to walk away from it.
We'll just do it.
Other than the issue with getting the deed.
not collected all of the money on the reimbursement, so can we set up the interpleader so that each time we receive payments, they too will also go up until the point that we determine the owner?
And that was a question that I had, whether, how much more money was left to collect approximately.
It was a good bid. Well, I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but we're not halfway there yet, so.
Okay.
We pay in whatever
What we've collected today.
we collected and are due under.
Correct. Per lot, every time a building permit has sold it, and I don't believe y'all are halfway through. You know.
I'll put it in the motion.
There's a good bit left
Okay.
to be paid into it.
Plus, I'll put it in the motion that it's in accordance with the contract, that we'll pay what we've collected and pay the rest as in accordance with the contract as it's collected.
It's just a whom. I would assume we pay it to the court up until such time that the court establishes the proper person, then we would then.
Make the payment to whoever the court establishes to be the proper payee.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Is that a motion?
Not yet, isn't it? You want to do that?
Okay.
Okay, we're ready. I'm going to attempt a motion, and if the wording needs adjusting, somebody help me out with that. Okay, I'll make a motion that we turn the matter over to the court for the interpleader, and that as part of that, whichever party is determined to own the property and contract, a deed will be prepared to give the infrastructure to the county. The money is currently held by the county will be turned over to the court interpleader. And in accordance with the contract, any future payments will be given to the interpleader as collected until such time is determined where it goes from there.
Is that covered? I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you,
sir. All right. And while Mr. Burns is still here, second item under old business is formally withdrawn.
Yes.
That's the recommendation by sketch plan for the cottages. They're no longer interested in that project.
That's correct.
Okay. That completes old business. We have an appearance. We'll back up.
Do we need to officially make a motion?
Yeah, to withdraw it, please.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's on the agenda, then we can take action.
Well, I'll entertain a motion. They withdrew it, so.
Entertain a motion to withdraw that item per their request.
To remove it from the agenda.
Remove it from the agenda for their request.
Remove it for their request.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Thank you all. Keep me straight. All right, Mr. Loper here.
Yes, sir.
We got you a little bit late.
That's okay, no problem.
We still.
I just thank you for allowing me this time. I'm Richard Loper from Historic Effingham. I'm here to represent them tonight. I just want to report that Historic Effingham and our Living History site is alive and well, but we do have some needs. The State Tourism Committee came down and have met with us several times, as they have probably with all of you, and they told us that Effingham County was just sitting on a gold mine here, and I'm here to ask for some of the gold. We kicked this around several years ago, and the county, Mr. Allen might have been involved in that, but we came up with a cost of some restrooms down there, and there was some feathers that were ruffled at the time, and it wasn't proper procedures. I don't know what happened, and it doesn't matter to us what happened at the time. We're in desperate need of some restrooms, and the reason we are is that the first quarter of this year, we have hosted 608 children at different times. That's at different times. We also had a group of 53 seniors down there, and one thing that those children and those seniors have in common is they all have to go to the restroom often. And we have two restrooms, one in the museum, which is owned by the county, and we have one restroom in the hut, the old Boy Scout hut, which is owned by the city. we're in a unique position in that our property, in case all of you may not be aware, we're sitting on part of the county and part of the city, and both of you have been really, really good to us over the years. But we continue to grow and do all the things that we had projected to do, and we're still doing them. But some of the things that we really need funding on, we just haven't been able to do, and those restrooms are one of the issues. Now, we have a place for the restrooms. It's an old maintenance concrete block building there. The work has actually begun. We've got the floors cut out, ready for the drain lines to go in, but no new equipment has been purchased. You know, none of the interior walls have been placed. We had to remove a couple of walls just to make room. Now, the county figures back a couple of years ago said that we needed $28,321 to complete this project and do it right. And that's with the stalls both for men and women, exterior doors, interior walls. And like I said, some of the work has been done. That amount of labor that's been there, I don't know what it was valued at, so I'm not sure exactly where we are on the dollar value. But that's our number one problem. We need that really, really bad just to try to get everybody satisfied when they need to come down there. We also we're not short on people working. This year alone, we have already produced 674 volunteer hours through the museum. And we're fortunate in that we've got people that's willing to work. We've got the best volunteer group of anybody that I've been involved with all over. I mean, they're unbelievable people. They give a lot of themselves. We have 2 part-time employees down there, 2 ladies that handle all of our clerical work. I'm telling you all this just to bring you up to speed to know where we are. And these 2 people, each one works about 20 hours a week. Well, no, they get paid for about 20 hours a week. They work about 40 hours a week at least. So they're well worth what we're paying them to handle correspondence through the Historic Society, and we get a lot of requests here. But I just want to make sure you understand that we have a lot. We have had a group as large as 300 people at one time. Now that doesn't happen all the time, but the Young Farmers came through a couple of years ago. It was 300 of them. So we're really bringing a lot of people to this area, and we want to continue that. We're in the process of building a one-room school now. It's a replica of the Bethel School, and it's well underway. And we had one guy that funded that entire school. He wrote us a check. He said, "I'll build, and if that's not enough, when you get through, I'll give you another check." We were fortunate enough to get, and this is all, you know, we're history nuts, or we wouldn't be doing this. We were lucky enough to get the bell that came out of the old original Clio school. So, I mean, we almost fell out when it popped in. So we're truly blessed with our citizens. I mean, people have just been over backwards. We had one family that gave us a building and then wrote us a check to have it moved. I said, you can't beat that. This is just unbelievable. This is Effingham County, and that's what it's all about. Now we need your help. We would love to. We would just as soon not give us any money to do that. We wish y'all would just come down, take a look at what we've got, and send your people over there and do it for us. That's what we would love to have. Is that? I may not do. I'm comfortable. I may not be making the right approach, but we need either some money or we need some people.
What I'm going to direct you to do is put this information in writing, give it to our clerk, and we will put it on our next agenda.
Okay, you actually have
for
this
action.
Yeah, you actually already have this information.
Because it was on an agenda in the past, is that
Right.
I think it might have been on an agenda a long time ago. And a long story short, I don't know. We need some clarification on certain things, like if they're a nonprofit organization, if there's certain laws that we have to follow as far as giving funds and spending funds for nonprofit.
Right.
And just for, you know, there's some things I'd like to know as him. Do you guys have a membership fee or?
We do have a
You guys raise funds
membership.
yourself?
We do have a membership, and we're also a nonprofit. We do have a nonprofit corporation, so we are a nonprofit. But we also have a membership, people that join and they get the newsletters and that sort of stuff. We do have a membership.
What type of fundraising?
And it's open to anyone in the known world.
What type of fundraising do you guys do?
Oh my goodness. We just had a golf tournament down there and raised like $6,000. But we sell dinners. Oh golly, we've had to raise the money for everything we've done. I mean, almost. I mean, you guys funded us. We've had times where the commission actually did fund us through a couple of projects.
I understand. And that's the reason that we need to put this on a business, for a business item so that we can discuss all of this.
Okay.
This is simply an appearance where you're presenting. So it's kind of a duplication, but we need to put it on an agenda for action.
Okay.
It's county property we're talking about too, right?
Partial.
Excuse me?
Where the restrooms are going, that's county now?
It is county property.
Okay.
Yes, it's going in a county building.
And that's what we need to know.
Yeah, it is a county property. Just like the old jail is county property, so is this restroom area, or hope to be a restroom area.
Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that. When is that?
Stephanie?
If you can get it to me, Mr. Loper, by the 1st, May 1st.
No problem. We'll do that. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Next item. We have a presentation. Effingham Champions Day. Mr. Clarence? You need us up there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's do this. Have one of those things to read. You're going to give me 3 of them. All right. All right. Proclamation that was previously approved by this board. Effingham Champions Day, Tuesday, April 21st, 2015. Whereas the youth of Effingham County Recreation and Parks Junior Boys Basketball Team, who won the GRPA 1st District Class B Junior Boys Championship held in Effingham County and finished as state runner-up in the GRPA State Class B Junior Boys Basketball Tournament. Georgia Recreation and Parks Association state runner-up and GRPA 1st District champions. Class B Junior Boys Basketball Tournament. The recipients. We ready? Yes. All right. Nicholas C. Allen. Not here. I should have brought my glasses. Noah J. Chumley.
Reading glasses?
Huh?
Keep on going, you'll find
Bring my glasses up then. It's tough to get old.
Boy, don't y'all just come live and coach it in the middle aisle.
Thank you. Oh, that's better. Antonio C. Dixon Jr.
Antonio here?
If I mispronounce your name, don't mind correcting me because I do it all the time. The only one I really have to get right is my wife. So other than that, Dantavius R. Griffin. All right.
Get one from them, just you kind of stand right by me. Congratulations.
All right. Tajay K. Harris. How'd I
Y'all do one at a time, y'all would.
do? Matthew A. Hayes. Hunter J. Sharehouse, or Sharouse, not here. Baylor A. Thompson. Devont V. Walls. All right.
Congratulations.
Kendall C. Wright.
Congratulations.
Head coach Roy Griffin. All right, sir. Thank you and appreciate your work. Assistant coach Gus Thompson. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your efforts and what y'all do. Assistant coach Stephen Miras. I gotta keep one. An assistant coach Vernon Walls. Thank you very much.
Coach, if you get behind the commission, or you take one knee in front of the commissioner. Catch one knee right in front of you.
Don't catch a knee.
All y'all catch a knee.
I got two and then he's playing in the middle.
No mugging, y'all smile.
Can you see them down there? Back up. Did you get them back? Yeah, you got in trouble there.
That's Patrick.
No fault. All right.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Congratulations.
On behalf of the Effingham County Mayor, we would like to thank the county commissioner for the recognition that they've been giving us, everything, and we wish them well in every endeavor we got going on with the recreation department in the near future.
Okay.
We're going to the gym and have a pizza party for them.
There you
Okay,
go.
let's go to the gym. Thank you, sir.
Bring us pizza back.
I'm gonna take all of them. Yeah, we'll do all of them.
All right, we have scheduled at 5:45 an appearance. Jasper Lee and NAACP. Are y'all here? Mind going a little bit early? Not at all. All right, sir. It's not often that we run ahead, so take it while you get it.
Okay, that's okay. Good afternoon. And I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to say a couple of words.
And my reason of request of being here tonight is because of a situation that went on. I think some of you are aware of it, and it doesn't bother me what was done, but what bothered me is how it was done. We have our commissioner for the 3rd district. I've tried many times to contact him for various reasons, and I never could. And it looked like this is the only way that I could get a chance to. And I feel that there should have been some communication on the situation of me being dismissed from the planning and zoning. Should have come by him, but instead, Mr. George Shaw, the very day that it happened, he called me that morning and he said, I thought that I should have make sure that you understood so you wouldn't get hit by surprise. He said he thought that Mr. Deloitte would have called me already, but he never did. And I never did get anything from Mr. Deloitte. I spoke to him one time before he was installed. And my reason of at that time, he was available. And I did call him and asked him, was he planning on keeping me on? I was not planning on it, but I have some constituents that encouraged me to stay on. Well, okay, I went on with that, but since then, I have not been able to talk to him by telephone, and I feel that this is a very poor representation for the 3rd district and the people in the 3rd district. I'm working for the county. You did not respect me enough to say, okay, Jasper, or whatever you want to call me, this is it. I had to get it through someone else, which is fine. And this is my reason. And for the benefit of the 3rd district, I think that would be very poor representation if somebody in the 3rd district wanted to talk to Mr. Deloitte and he would never answer the phone, never call back, change the number, can't get him. And this is it. It's not what was done, how it was done. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I appreciate you all allowing me to say what I said and to get this out. And I think that it would benefit the future part of the county for the commissioner of their district to actually be able. I can call Mr. John Burns, I can call Mr. Jack Hill. If they're not there, they'll return a call or something. But Mr. Deloitte never did. And I thank you so much.
Can I speak now?
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Let Mr. Deloitte say whatever he wants to, and then I'd like to say something.
Well, first of all, I definitely disagree with what you said. Yes, you did call me before I took office. We did talk. You did call me on my phone. I did try to call you back, but your voicemail was not set up. So therefore, I cannot leave you a message. So I thought at that point you would see that I called and you would call me back. I've not received another phone call from you. Anyone that calls my phone, I have not changed my number. I still have the same county phone that I got from Steve Mason. That number has not changed. Everyone that has called me, I have returned their phone call. Now, I will agree, I will apologize. Maybe I should have called you myself and let you know. I thought George was going to call and let you know. My bad on that, I apologize. But as far as you not being able to get in touch with me, that is not true. Your voicemail box at that time was not set up, and I was unable to leave you a voicemail. It could have changed as of today, but when I returned your call, it was not set up.
You can try the same phone from that day till this, it still will be the same thing. I will get your call. I have constituents that call me.
So you do have a voicemail set up now?
It was them too, as well.
I got a voicemail, I got a message that said voicemail box, and not been set up yet.
Well, anyway, I'm not here to argue. I just wanted to
Okay.
express my feelings, and I'm also representing other people in the county as well, and especially the 3rd District. And we would like to be able to get in touch with whoever is in leadership. Again, it didn't hurt my feelings about being dismissed from the board. That doesn't matter. But how it was did is what I was concerned about. And I thank you so much. You all have a blessed day. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. All right. First item, new business. Consideration to approve an updated rental agreement with Concerned Services Incorporated for space in the Effingham County Annex.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. Concerted Services were established as a community action agency under the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 to combat poverty. They provide emergency and energy assistance programs, case management and weatherization services to Effingham County residents, and in consideration the county does not charge them rent for the space they occupy. At their request and with staff concurrence, they recently moved from the old GDOT building at 304 Highway 119 South to the annex at 768 Highway 119 South. Therefore, a new rental agreement has been drafted. The new agreement has a term of 1 year from July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016, which pending annual board approval can be renewed for 2 further 1-year terms. The county can terminate the agreement at any time with 30 days written notice, and the only funding required is for maintenance and utilities. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, and staff recommends alternative number 1. Any questions?
Any questions? Madam Board Member? Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve this thing.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve enter into lease agreements with DocuQuest for 5 postage meters.
County employees spend a lot of time making trips to the post office to purchase stamps and then manually stamping envelopes. Postage meters would save time and money as they would reduce the number of trips to the post office and the amount of time spent manually stamping envelopes. Quotes were requested for the lease of postage meters, with DocuQuest offering the best lease option with the post-based 30 machine that will process 30 envelopes a minute at the lease cost of $36.54 a month. The lease term is 12 months, after which time it will automatically renew for a year, and it can be terminated after the initial term with 90 days written notice. The lease has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney, and as funding is approved in the current general fund budget and will be requested in fiscal year 16's budget, staff recommend alternative 1. Any questions?
Any questions? Motion?
Motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve to enter into a dish machine buyout lease with Swisser and terminate the current rental lease with Effingham.
I would like to amend this slightly. The county currently has a rental lease with Ecolab for the prison dish machine, and in order to try and create savings, staff requested quotes for rental leases versus buyout leases, and found that a buyout lease would offer savings over a rental lease. But late this afternoon, an offer was received to purchase the machine from Swisher outright, as opposed to leasing it. and the purchase price is within the staff's purchasing authority. So given the difference in pricing, staff would like to review that offer before committing to a lease with them. But we would still like approval to terminate the agreement with Effingham.
Okay, so you want to change this and just ask for permission to terminate the current rental lease,
Yes, sir.
but not to enter into?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Board understand? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to terminate the current rental lease, Mr. Sugarboy.
Yes, sir.
Second. Motion and a second. And this is only to terminate the current rental lease with Effingham, correct?
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Any opposed? So carried.
Thank you.
Then you would bring back as a new item any.
If we decide to lease, sir, yes.
Gotcha.
We were presented with just a complete buyout option just before this meeting, which would not require our approval. It would just be a purchase, and that's so it may not come out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Next item, consideration to approve to disperse funding in the amount of $690,371.54 to Effingham Hospital.
Yes, sir. As you know, this past year, we entered into an MOU with the hospital regarding the contract that we have with them. That contract calls for $3.6 million annually, or $300,000 per month. As a result of that MOU, we basically are making those progress payments on a quarterly basis. In December, we came before you with $523,000 and $523,043.63 that needed to be paid through the end of this past year. At that particular time, we also had $542,000 currently on the tax rolls due to come in. During this past quarter, we received $209,628.48. That difference is the $690,371.54. So it is time to go ahead and make that progress payment to the hospital, pending the additional funds potentially that would come in. In other words, the difference between the 209 and the 542. And then, of course, we will have a millage that will be let in June for the current tax year. And so this is just part of those progress payments. There is a potential, based on our current millage, that the current millage may not bring in enough funds, and so we will need to address that between now and the end of June as far as how we actually make those payments.
So is this actually approving the disbursement of this amount or up to that amount?
That exact amount.
That amount.
Yes,
If I understand correctly, that amount's due in progress payments at this time.
that's correct.
You're saying, and we've been paying it out of whatever, knowing that we may collect some money coming in, but if not, we let it pay it, and then we have to deem what to do. Do we raise, as an example, later, tonight's vote will be okay for this, but later, do we raise the tax millage, or do we allow future payments that's coming in to balance for next year? It'll be a determination at that time, but for right now, it's just paid. We have to vote to pay this.
That's correct, and we have discussed this with Linda McDaniel. She is making every effort to make sure that those payments come in as readily as possible. I think she has several sales that she is going to do in the next few months to try and make sure that we receive as much of those payments as possible.
That's what I understood until you started talking, and then I got confused there.
So I need to cover a second one.
I understand. All right. Need a motion?
Make a motion that we approve disbursement of the payment of the time of the $690,371.54.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve an amendment to the aging services contract for 2015.
As you know, this board has entered into a grant for the past few years regarding aging services. This particular grant contract allows us to serve more meals, both within the senior citizens building itself and also too with home delivered meals. As usual, they do make adjustments to that particular contract as we go through the year. This particular adjustment does reduce our overall meals. It will not hurt us. It is on target, but they do look and see how much we're using and redistribute those funds every so often. In this particular instance, they have reduced the overall funding, but we feel like that it will be enough to provide for the meals that we're currently providing for. The overall program funding is $146,000, and so it is crucial for us to continue this program.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1, approve as submitted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve a resolution to designate an alternative open records officer.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you are aware, the current appointment is alternative for open records officer is the community relations director position, which there is no one in right now. That was approved back in August 7th of 2012. So we need to designate another person. Our recommendation is that the county administrator be designated as the alternate open records officer. So let's give him one more job. Give him one more job. That's right.
Thank you.
It actually makes sense to me, and they do it in other counties that way as well. So.
No raise, no raise.
I got a forklift. I'll give you a raise.
I call that little lever on the chair did something.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve an MOU to authorize the county clerk to purchase a floral arrangement or make a donation to a fund in the event of death of an employee or employee family on behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
Yes, sir. If you all recall, we discussed this during committee reports, and we have a couple of deaths during that time. It has been the practice of the board to send flowers to an employee or an employee family who is deceased. So I did draft a MOU that has been reviewed by the county attorney, which does outline what is considered as immediate family. If you guys would like to change that, we certainly can. I also put in a dollar amount of $120 max. Not saying we have to do that, but it's
I'd like to change that. I know we didn't give you no directions when we did this.
and that's what it's for.
But
That's right.
you're talking about a lot of people. And immediate family, as far as I'm defined, is your spouse, your mother and your father, or your kids. All the in-laws and outlaws and all this kind of stuff. We got 300 employees in the county.
Understood.
I mean, y'all agree with that?
I agree with you.
Yeah, if you be sure you didn't miss somebody if you get to. That was added because it was mentioned by someone else. That was not.
No, I told us that we need to do that. I asked you about doing it, and we give you direction to go ahead and come up with something. But anyway, we didn't give you any direction whatsoever, so I'm not blaming you for anything. But I'd just like to change that.
Absolutely, that's fine.
And that's left up to the board. I'm just telling you what I think about it.
You can make a recommendation with whatever changes you like.
Do you have any idea how many times this would have been in effect during the last 2, 3, whatever, on an annual basis?
I'm going to say in the
past 2 weeks, it's been 3 times.
3 people in the last 3 weeks. So, but if you start counting all the in-laws and outlaws and brothers, all the siblings, in a year's time, you'd be doing a lot of it.
Immediate family is typically considered as a spouse, a child, mother, father, sister,
Pardon?
mother, father, sister, brother, or
Yeah.
spouse, or children.
I didn't even put sisters and
You don't
brothers.
want the brothers and
Not
or
that
sisters
simple.
in there now.
I said, I might have said siblings, but take that off.
Okay.
It's your immediate family,
Spouse, child, mother, father
yes.
is what you want to limit to.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, y'all can change whatever you want to.
I'm fine.
No, I agree. And as a matter of record, human resources, do they do anything?
They do. We have a wellness benefit program that a lot of employees in the county put into, and usually flowers or whatever. This is just from you guys' direction.
Yeah.
So-
We done this just for the county commissioners ourselves. We pay for it, we take up the collection when she sends the flowers or whatever
Yep.
she wants to send, and then she collects the money from us,
Well,
whatever.
it's been happening, but I'm glad that you're putting it in an MOU. I think that's smart. And let's hope that what the rate has been in the last 2 weeks is not what continues.
Yeah. Whatever you guys tell me to do.
I would agree with Ms. Draper. I think that's reasonable.
I agree.
Okay.
All
What
right, so-
about the dollar amount? Do you want to reduce the maximum, or you want to keep it as is?
What did you say?
It's 120.
I don't know.
123 is a reasonable spray right now.
Okay.
We can adjust it if we need to as time goes on.
It's up to that, we don't have to go with that.
No.
We don't have to go with
And I will say
that.
the flowers that I've sent over the past couple of weeks were only like $40 to $50, I think.
That would be the maximum we spend.
Yeah, 120 would be the max.
So that's,
Any other changes?
And this is per occurrence, right? It's not for a month.
For current.
no, this is just gonna happen. She finds out about it, if we might not even know it, she sends the flowers, and then she collects the money from us. Then she puts it on the.
Well, it gives her some guidelines. That
Yes.
way
That's
she's,
I know what to
she's
do,
not
and how to do it.
holding the bag.
That's right. Anything else?
So we want, if somebody doesn't pony up their part, we want to give her rush authorization
Take it.
take it out of the check.
Yes. We never had him, so I don't think so.
All right, so 120 and changing to,
Mother, father, spouse, and kids.
gotcha. Why don't you make that motion, Reggie, you got it?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to make the change on it. Mother, father, spouse, and kids. And the maximum of $120, and a lot of that discretion be left up to you. And
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Consideration to approve to authorize the county administrator to sign a water extension letter to EPD for Hunter's Walk.
Mr. Chairman, basically what this is sign of properties. This is probably the first one of these that none of you all have seen in 4 year, 10 years, so that means development's coming back. In order for these people to extend water and sewer lines, they have to submit it off to EPD. Part of that application process is basically this letter in which we, the provider of the service, certify that we, one, have the capacity, and two, are willing to provide it to create consistent with our service delivery strategy, and that the appurtenances are not owned or in close proximity to something that has been used as a landfill. We then asked the consultant to provide us a letter stating that there's no landfill, so we're basically writing it based off their certification. This is something that we commonly do. I mean, it's just probably the first time any of y'all have seen this, because it hasn't been much development of late.
All sure that all the criteria is met?
We're reasonably sure, yes, sir.
That we can surface it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. This is, yeah, there's an existing kind of water main in the right of way of this development.
But we're trying to be sure that
Well, I knew that, but I wanted to be sure that we're not
not straight.
telling you yes.
Oh, yes, sir. This is
when we don't.
This is what was intended to be the second phase of a development that ultimately went to the bank and is now been repurchased and being developed once again.
Yes. Any other questions?
So every time you always ask for permission to sign a letter?
We have in the past. That is the way this board has always done it in the past. And I'll say I've got another request for one earlier today. It's really up to y'all how you want to handle this procedure going forward, but it is a letter that comes basically from the Board of Commissioners stating that it's got my signature on it, but it's the implications that the Board of Commissioners.
It's something to look at in the future, that if for certain we're able to service it, then that would be a...
It does give us the opportunity to ask you for sure that we do in fact are committing to what we can deliver.
Yes, sir.
We need to ask you for sure.
Well, and the one that came today that basically said, hey, I sent you this, I'm gonna send somebody this afternoon to pick it up. No, it's not gonna happen that way. So, again, it's up to y'all. Something we can discuss in the future as development picks back up. If y'all get to a point that you're comfortable, just allow us to have to sign these, we can transition to that.
I have a motion to allow this one.
Make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Sign away. Next item, consideration to approve, to authorize the chairman to execute a survey access authorization to grant Palmetto Products Pipeline LLC permission to survey county-owned property.
Yes, sir. This is one of the letters that multiple people throughout the county received. They're requesting permission to survey particular parcels that we have. The ones that they've indicated to me are rights of ways and detention ponds within Staffordshire, Winfield, and Greystone, and the fire station on 275. It's pieces and parts of each of those different properties. But they've asked, and we received this back in January, and I suppose Mr. The right-of-way agent basically told him I'd be glad to take it to the board as soon as we got some maps, because y'all know we recently got maps.
Well, that would be my question. Is this the, in fact, map where they're planning to go?
I don't know the answer to that. What I will say is the maps that they provided to us are different than the ones that's on Savannah's website.
Right, I believe we have many citizens here for the here in Richmond Hill.
And I will say that these properties, most of what, except for 275, that these affect, the maps that Savannah now has don't show it affecting these properties. So I don't know which one's accurate, I'll be honest with you.
I think they did say that night that that it's not definite yet, but there still could be changes, so there may be more maps coming out.
And the difference here is, this is in Staffordshire and Greystone, and what some other citizens had shared with me earlier is that they were told that they would not run it through Staffordshire and Greystone. That's where they would reroute it up Blue Jay and back around through some other properties around Herbert Kessler and back in. I don't know which one's correct. I know they provided us two different ones. They provided us one and y'all different one, that KMZ file.
We got ours from you.
Not that KMZ file. We didn't have a KMZ file.
We talked about sending you guys something separately, so I don't know if they sent it to somebody else.
What's the legalities for surveyors? I mean, surveyors have a certain right to...
Under statute for road work associated with a municipality, I don't think they can do it. I don't know that they can do it in this case. It's a private company.
So, but they've already surveyed people whenever Alan Zipper's property.
He did not allow all of a sudden
accidentally surveyed his property without his permission. They did apologize after the fact.
But they have to ask.
Well, they're lucky that he didn't catch them.
I mean,
I have a problem with it.
Well,
if we authorize the chairman to sign this, does that mean that we okay with the pipeline coming through?
That would just... Well, I don't think so, but one thing about it, if we don't grant them permission, it tells them that we're not happy with the way it's going.
Absolutely.
And I would say, I'm not signing it unless they tell me to.
Well, I'm not inclined to do
Well,
it.
that's an awfully bold statement, but I don't have a problem with it.
So that's good, well, that's what I was getting around to.
Well, and I've sat in a meeting with them and I told them, I said, you know, y'all need to learn. First off, we hear about this thing from whoever, and they never tell us what's happening. So first off, we put on the defensive of something we have nothing to do with.
Right.
Well, we attended a meeting in Savannah and went up and asked them that they come to Effingham and speak to the citizens, to give the citizens of Effingham an opportunity, or they would have never even been here.
There's no reason that they can't establish their route and then start asking for permission to go across it. And I mean, if they're saying, we're not going through Greystone, we're not going through Staffordshire, but yet they're asking.
I mean, this is the same letter that, I mean, we're having the same conversation that a landowner is just sitting at their dinner table reading this letter, asking these same questions to itself.
So, what I would ask this board to do is to not grant me permission to sign.
Very good. That's exactly what I was going to do.
If we're ready,
I'm ready.
I make a motion we choose alternative 2 and do not authorize the chair to execute the survey access authorization.
I
Yeah, I'll
second.
second that.
Everybody second.
Everybody second.
Then I take that as a unanimous.
You got it close.
Yes.
That's as much
All in
agreement.
favor? Any opposed? So carried. All right, folks. Unless I see something different, that's our last item of business. Anybody going to correct that?
E.G. and Patrick, was that not unity or what? That was unity.
All right. We're going to take a break.
And we'll go ahead and call executive session?
Yes, go ahead.
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss pending litigation.
Second. This is litigation. Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation. All in favor? None opposed? We say and so is our adjourned. Give the time to 4 seconds. Hey, Ben. Hey, Matt. First item, planning board public hearing. Planning board recommends approving an applicant by Casey Lee needs to rezone 1 acre located at 2714 Sand Hill Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 301, parcel number 4 in the 1st district. Go ahead.
Ms. Niece is asking to rezone 1 acre of her father's property for a home site. Both staff and planning board recommend approval. Just do 1 acre up on the Sand Hill Road property.
Any questions from the board? It's a public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for this rezoning? Anyone wish to speak against? All right. No one for or against. 1st district.
Make a motion we approve based on planning board and staff recommendation.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Casey Lee needs to rezone 1 acre located at 2714 Sand Hill Road from AR1 to AR2. Map number 301, parcel number 4 in the 1st district. That is the second reading of the aforementioned. Same thing.
Approve planning board and staff recommendation.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. None opposed, and it's carried. Next item, the planning board recommends approving an application by David Hales to rezone 5.01 acres located at 4325 Courthouse Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 324, parcel number 17B in the first district.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hales is requesting to rezone. This is property owned by his son, and he wants to put a home site on 1 acre, leaving the son with 4 acres, which also needs to be rezoned to AR2. Both planning board and staff recommend approval.
Any questions from the board? Public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak for this rezoning? Against? None for or against. First district.
Make a motion we approve based on the planning board and staff recommendations.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Item number 4 would be consideration to approve the second reading of an application by David Hales to rezone 5.01 acres located at 4325 Courthouse Road from AR1 to AR2, map number 324, parcel number 17B in the first district.
Same motion based on planning board and staff recommendations.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? So carried. Next item, the planning board recommends approving an application by Edward Neese to rezone 1 acre located on Neese Road from AR1 to R1, map number 375, parcel number 33 in the second district.
So Mr. Neese owns a large property on Neese Road and wishes to rezone the 1 acre up on Neese Road frontage to create a couple of home sites. And he's going to move that to the R1. Both planning board and staff recommended approval. These sites would be served by county water.
Question from the board? Public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for this rezoning? Against? None for or against. In the second district.
Make a motion that we approve as presented.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item is the second reading of the consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Edward Neese to rezone 1 acre located on Neese Road from AR1 to R1, map number 375, parcel number 33 in the second district.
Make a motion we approve the second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, planning board recommends approving an application by Mark and Shannon Downing to rezone 32.36 acres from R1 to AR1, located on Low Ground Road, map number 393, parcel number 25 in the second district.
Yes, so this parcel was rezoned to R1 before the recession. Someone had hopes of creating a subdivision. The Downings have since purchased it, I believe from the bank, and have no intention of subdividing this. They want to use this whole site as their home site and wish to rezone to AR1. Planning board and staff recommend approval.
Question for the board. It's a public hearing. Anyone here wish to speak for this rezoning? Against? No one for or against? Second district.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented by both planning board and staff recommendation.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item is the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Mark and Shannon Downing to rezone 32.36 acres from R1 to AR1, located on Low Ground Road, map number 393, parcel number 25 in the second district. Motion? Second. Motion is second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, Planning Board recommends approving an application by Kern and Company, LLC, to rezone 30.76 acres from AR1 to R1, located at 1485 Hodgeville Road, map number 434, parcel number 25 and 29, and map number 435, parcel number 59, in the second district.
Yes, so current company is an engineering firm for a development group that wishes to turn this into a single-family subdivision. Currently AR1, they're going to zone it to R1 for site-built homes only. After public comment at the planning board, staff recommended approval. Planning board added 2 additional stipulations. The natural drainage flow be restored. There was evidently a drainage toward the front of the property that had been stopped up due to some built up soil, and then also that a privacy fence be installed on the northern length of the northern property line.
I believe there's some parties here that want to speak to this.
All right, so there is, the planning board recommendation was to approve with stipulations, correct?
And 2 extra additional stipulations from staff.
Gotcha.
So the parties are here to speak.
Based on public comment.
All right. Anyone here wish to speak for this rezone?
Wilson Burns, represent BGN. We're looking to develop, like George said, 49 single-family site-built homes on the property. I believe after the planning board, the biggest issues that we heard were one was the drainage. Like I said, there's been some soil buildup over the years up on the Hodgeville Road end of the property, up around where you see in that aerial a shed built there. You can see the roof of a shed back off the road, maybe. Yeah, right there. Along in that area, there's some soil buildup on the cooler property that is in question tonight, and it's back and the neighboring property used to flow across there into the branch, and that's been stopped up over the years, and we're addressing that in the engineering plan to address that to get the flow back onto this property and back into the retention and restore that flow. So I think that's something we definitely plan on handling in the engineering as we move forward with that. The other big issue was the privacy fence down the northern property line. And following the meeting, we've met a couple of times with the neighbor back behind the existing pond. There's an easement that goes all the way down that property line, and there's a home place back behind the pond, and I think that was the biggest concern, was the privacy of the coming and going of the traffic there. Officer Mock lives back there, State Patrol, and had some safety issues, and we've talked, but we've been, we've kicked some ideas around, but been unable to come to any kind of resolution at this point as to solution, meet in the middle. We talked about putting fence down the couple hundred feet along his where his home is instead of going down the entire length and leaving, this is recommended from us, and then leaving the rest of it a vegetative buffer along the rest of the access, around the rest of the property line. I don't think that worked from their side completely. So we're kind of on our end of the equation, we're at a standstill at the moment on what to do there. The fence, if we put a fence down that entire property line, the burden of the fence ends up adding up to just under $2,000 an acre in burden on Ms. Cooler's property, and it's hard to absorb that in the development plan. So we've tried to come up with some vegetative option or something to do there, but like I say, we've been unable to come to any mutual terms.
Well, based on the recommendation, not from staff, but from the planning board on the fence, on the northern line, that was going to be about how many feet? 25, 2,600, would you say?
Yeah, I think it was about 2866 plus 1441. I can't do that math. Yeah, 2,300 feet.
2,300 feet roughly. And the property line, and I know the other y'all have an opportunity to speak, but the property line where the Mox lives about affecting their property is how many feet roughly?
Looking from this property onto that property, it's roughly 230 feet that would block any angle view of the home place on that site.
And you discussed with them about that, and that wasn't satisfactory for them?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there anything else on yours?
I think that's it on my end.
George, will you point out Mr. Mock's property?
It's in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
Anyone else wish to speak for this rezoning?
Hey y'all, I'm Dusty Williams. I am the son-in-law of Ms. Cooler, and I also have roughly 5 acres at the rear of this that is going to be sold also. And when Ms. Cooler was widowed roughly 3 years ago, Mr. Richard was he didn't want to see it developed, just like no other neighbors wanted to see it developed. But in previous years had entertained even with Dennis about selling it, and so it was in his wishes to make sure she was cared for. Now she's getting in her mid-60s and trying to keep up with 27, 28 acres plus pawing off my 5 on her to cut too, starts to take a toll on someone, and so she just can't keep this up for years and years. And while nobody wants to see somebody move, heck, I live in a subdivision, and it kind of makes me feel funny when they clear a lot next to me that is intended for another house. It's like, dang, why are they coming here? Well, everybody's house that you live in was built in somebody else's next door yard. So everybody is on somebody else's turf, more or less. And so, I would just like Mel's well-being to be considered, that she just cannot keep this up for many more years, and it's her wishes to get out from under it, cash out, so to speak, and find a house somewhere that she can be more comfortable in and not work like a dog for 12-hour days in the summer to try to keep the place up.
Is your point that you don't want additional regulation to possibly make her lose the sale? Is that what you're...
Yeah, my point is nobody wants a neighbor, but nobody should stop her from doing what should be done to alleviate the rest of her life. She's retired, and retirement doesn't mean upkeep 30 acres to her standards, which are pretty dang high. So, thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I would not be selling this if my husband was still alive. And I hate it for my neighbors. but I have no life. I mean, I stay home all the time. I think it's just time to move on in my life. I need to get a life now, other than staying at home doing what I do. And like I said, I love my neighbors dearly. They've been really good neighbors. But I think it's just time for me to have a change. And I don't know what else to say. Oh, I'm sorry.
We appreciate you coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
And you know, the point, the issue here is not whether or not you can sell your land. You can sell your land. The issue is whether or not this board feels like it should be subdivided into a subdivision.
That's why I asked the question about, was the point actually, did we want to cause an overregulation that could affect the sale?
Right.
Yeah.
Pinpoint it to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I knew Richard very well, so.
I knew you did.
Sorry for that loss.
And it's been hard. And it still is hard. He's everywhere I look out there.
Okay.
But you put a human face for sure to the fact that our decisions affect people's lives greatly.
Oh, I know. I know. I know.
On every side.
Thank y'all.
Wish you well.
Is there anyone else here that wishes to speak in favor of this land being developed into a subdivision? All right. Now I take it that there are several here that wish to speak against. Would that be correct? Now, if I may ask you to tell me what it is you object against, whether cutting it up at all or whether or not you don't have a problem with it being cut up, but you want certain stipulations upon doing so.
Yes, sir. Mr. Kessler, and for y'all that I've not met, I'm a state trooper in this area. I've been employed with the Georgia State Patrol since 19.
I try not to meet you.
Well, and I hope so. I try not to meet people every day, but we have a job to do. And of course, my job is to serve the public of the state as well as Effingham County, just like y'all's job is.
Please state your name for the record, please.
Joey Mock, and it's my wife Donna Mock. And we reside just north of the property line. We are just behind the actual property line. The GIS map is not quite correct. Our property line is actually just behind that pond, probably about 15 to 20 feet behind the pond. The biggest thing that I'm not trying to hinder a sale, I'm not trying to hinder a subdivision. I want to try to keep in the stipulations that the zoning board put into place. There are a few reasons why, and one of the things that the zoning board mentioned that I didn't hear Mr. Shaw mention was a deceleration lane, and that would be in the northbound lane of Hodgsville Road, where you would dip off to the right to enter the proposed entrance to the subdivision.
Excuse me, let me interrupt you 1 second, just so I give you a piece of information that I don't know if he's familiar with or not, but after the zoning vote, later in the area when we get the sketch plan, there is a decel lane in the sketch plan.
There is a decel lane in the sketch plan.
That stipulation was added to the next vote.
That would be in a following vote, but I did verify it in the book. I verified it with the county administrator, and I verified it with Wilson Burns and had it sent to me to verify that it would work and that type of thing. It's been engineered and it's planned.
Okay.
So we'll get to that in the next vote. But
that is in place, the deceleration line.
It's in place for the next vote, but he's got a plan to do, no problem, so there's no reason why we wouldn't say yes to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to take that, I want you to know that.
That's good. That was one of the points. And the other point, and Mr. Burns had talked with me about the
To the personal safety concerns.
Okay. The personal safety concerns that I have as far as with my job, when you go out and put people in jail, put people behind bars like I have in various situations, and I know a lot of people see state troopers as, well, we go out and write some speeding tickets, we go out and write some seatbelt tickets, we go out and investigate some traffic crashes. Yes, we do. And I've investigated 4 fatality crashes just in this county in the last 6 months. And that was, of course, that really was part of my argument for the deceleration lanes, but I'll move on from that. Another part of my job that not many troopers do, which my brother is also a state trooper, in the middle of going out on medical retirement at this time, but he was stationed in Hinesville, and I've been stationed here. As a matter of fact, I am the last trooper assigned to this post that is still one of the troopers from the old post on Dean Forest Road in Chatham County. That's just showing how much time I've got on. But he and I got in a little bit of competition back 10, 12 years ago, working drug money interdiction out on the interstate. Got to the point where he would arrest somebody, or, make a seizure, whether it be $50,000 or the last seizure I think he made was a little in excess of $200,000. I didn't ever quite meet that, so he had one up on me. But after doing this for a few years, there was a drug cartel out of Atlanta that was a hub sending illegal narcotics to the coastal areas, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. There was a hit put out on Trooper Mock. Well, this drug cartel, they didn't know that there was two of us. They don't know there's a Trooper Mock up here in Chatham and Bryan counties on 95, and another one in Liberty County and McIntosh. They just know there's a Trooper Mock put an actual legitimate hit out that was investigated by the GBI and the FBI. That's why I want to stay secluded. I want to keep a privacy fence up all the way down, because when I leave, go out 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, work until either 4 in the morning or 6 in the morning, people see that I'm leaving. My wife's home. They know what his patrol car's home. She's home alone. Okay. Another thing is, and one other incident that the most recent incident that I had that was a crash. I worked in Bryan County down on 144, just about back in August of last year. This was I worked a wreck on a young man of Arab descent who was on a motorcycle. That his entire family at that time, and I don't know the extent of the investigation now, but at that time was being investigated for intentional vehicle crashes, collecting insurance money, which is insurance fraud, and funneling money back overseas. Well, this particular crash I investigated, he lost a leg, and he is supposedly in a vegetative state in a wheelchair down in some facility in Florida. But his family is looking to sue the company of the truck that he hit for multi-millions. Well, when I gave my opinion, because of the knowledge that we had at the post, that his crash was intentional to go after insurance money, when I found out from his family's attorneys that are based out of Savannah that his family is very unhappy with me. There again, that's why I want to keep secluded with a privacy fence as much as possible.
Can I say something?
And go ahead.
I just wanted to also mention that we actually intentionally placed ourselves in this location with the help of Mr. Pooler at the time, with the knowledge that he was keeping his area agricultural. He wanted us back there. He liked us back there. But he helped us actually get that property. And as Mr. Burns was saying, if you put a block of fence just in this area, our driveway is from Hodgeville Road up past the pond into our property. If you just put the fence there, basically what you're going to have is every single backyard down the driveway will still know his comings and goings at all hours of the day and night. And we have already had numerous incidences already of trespassers on the back side of our property from Jamestown. So trespassing is definitely an issue with our property. But as far as the privacy fence goes, do you mind showing number 5, 6, and 7? I don't know how many will fit on the, is that okay? 5, 6, and 7. Picture, I just wanted to talk for just a moment about why privacy fence is so important to us. The privacy fence will act as a safety barrier, not only for our property and our privacy and our safety, but also if you turn it so that it shows Hodgeville at the bottom, you can see the size of the lake that is there. It's probably about a 3-acre lake. This would run 750 feet parallel with the subdivision and only 45 feet away from every backyard. So not only are we talking about safety for us, but we're talking about safety for children, because you figure if you have 49 subdivisions, you're going to have an average of probably 2 children per household-ish. You've got 45 feet from that backyard into that pond. You've got them also, I have statistics just in the state of Georgia. It's not even statistics really, just brief research. Just in the last 4 years in Georgia alone of 6 children that have drowned, unattended, drowned in ponds in an area close to them. Another reason for 5, 6, and 7, that shows the size of the pond. That shows the size, and then the last number 7 shows I'm standing with my back against the property line, and I'm actually shooting 40, it shows it's 45 feet to where the pond is, where all these backyards would be if there was no privacy fence. The other thing that I wanted to bring up also, it's a safety barrier for both properties. Ms. McClendon, who expressed the desire to have a privacy fence as well, her property is the property in front of the pond all the way to Hodgeville Road. She had expressed wanting that privacy as well. We both have livestock. We have everything from roosters to rabbits. We have goats to horses. And I was reading in Effingham County Codes, Part 2, I believe, Chapter 10, 112. It says that as far as horses go, there needs to be a minimum of 200 feet distance from an occupied building from where the horses are housed. And from the fence that we have, the horse fence that we have, to the property line is only 38 feet. And then from the actual stall to the property line is 70 feet. And so that is well closer than 200 feet. And I also feel like that actually supersedes the 15 feet barrier that I was reading required in the buffers. Section is Chapter 11, 3.4, I believe.
Were these points brought up at the planning board? For the horse?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that,
Livestock was brought up in the...
is this out of...
The county's policy is that if the horses were there first, we do not enforce the 200-foot separation. It's when someone comes in with livestock next to a neighborhood.
Right, because it protects people from the smell and the horse.
That they weren't expecting. In this case, if you move there, you're expecting.
Right, not the opposite.
But I think that at this point, what we're looking at is when you have a subdivision with 49 homes, and so you're talking basically 50, not quite 50 homes, but 100 kids, plus or minus. If those kids don't have anywhere to play, and they see horses there, they see pond there, they're going to try to make their way to it. That's why we feel that in even other property, other part of the rear part of our property, there's woods.
There's a horse on the other side as well.
There is a horse, but that's beside the point. Anytime the kids don't have a place to go and play recreation, like Belmont Glen has recreation, they have tennis courts, basketball courts. I'm sure they have swimming pool. I haven't looked for the swimming pool. Those kids have something to go do. Kids here, I don't think they have anything to do other than explore when they get tired of playing in the little bit of yard and street they do have. They're going to try to go to the next person's property and try to go to the street.
Also, was the last safety concern that we had was picture number 8. If you don't mind, please, Mr. Shaw. We also have a safety concern because of the heavy machinery that we have on the property. If you look in the picture behind the pole, you can see the orange marker of one of the property line. I guess that's a division from one yard to the next. That is 38 feet. Mm-hmm. That's 38 feet from...
This is on your property?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, somebody have to trespass to get to your machine?
Sorry?
Somebody have to trespass to get to
That's correct.
You would have to, it would be much easier access if there is no privacy fence. If there is a privacy fence, then you're blocking, if you have a structural barrier, you're blocking the horse issue, the safety issues, the livestock from Ms. McClendon's and ours, the pond safety, the chance of drowning, the heavy machinery, and our privacy and our safety. Is why we're so passionate, I guess you could say, about it.
One thing I just want to make sure, I think it warrants stating, we require to have a stormwater management plan, which is going to require any development to have ponds built on the other property as well. So, you know, there's going to be ponds accessible.
I think the point there is that this, up till this point, has been a fairly secluded, private-owned pond, and Ms. McClendon should not be responsible for monitoring who's coming on and off. I think when you have it out in the subdivision, it's more visible, opposed to the, you know, the area. You could see the few pine trees that were around it.
I agree. I just want to make sure that was.
Yes, sir.
All right. So that I'm sure that I understand, y'all aren't object to them selling the property and it being a subdivision.
That's
as
correct.
long as the fence is correct.
That's correct, yes.
That's, okay.
And can I just make one more point? We've already lost so much in this, and we have not lost what Miss Melanie has lost, and we have been neighbors for a long time, and I do feel for her. Richard was a very dear neighbor, and we still miss him out in the field doing his thing. But the other thing that I wanted to bring is, if we don't have this privacy fence for all of these reasons that we've stated, we're already losing so much because the property we have now just does allow for, if you'll show the last number 14, please, sir. We have enough acreage, just enough, for hunting and target shooting on our own property that we do with our boys. And with this subdivision moving in, of course, this won't be happening. We're already losing so much is basically what I'm trying to get across, that we would just please ask that you keep the stipulation in place for the privacy fence.
How much land do you actually own?
We have 7.5 acres, but there is, well, a little over, right at 8 acres. There is a county ordinance as far as discharging firearms within certain feet of residences. Yes, sir. Of course, that's, you know, with subdivision, that's out the window. But, and to be honest with you, what somebody was saying earlier, what I believe Mr. Williams was saying about as far as she needing to sell it, she, even at us, she would have a sale for the property if this one didn't fall through. But there again, we're not trying to hinder this one. We're just trying to keep the stipulations.
How many feet is it about discharging a firearm? How many?
300 yards, I believe.
300 yards. And you got 7.5 acres and you won't be able to do that anymore?
Not from side to side.
From side, once we're in the middle of our property in the rear, is it would be about 200 feet, and he's talking about 300 yards, which is 900 feet.
So depth-wise, we can work that, but from side to side of our property, where this privacy, that side, that bordering, we couldn't.
But there are areas in which you could, but there's areas in which you couldn't.
No, there's no, with the subdivision, there'd be no areas that we could.
Yes, ma'am. So we would just respectfully ask that you uphold the stipulations that were placed.
And as far as the stipulation of the drainage, Mr. Burns did speak to me about that. I believe that was taken care of, so I don't believe that would be an issue.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here that has issues with against these?
Hi, I'm Marla McClendon. I own the property at the front from Hodgeville Road to behind the pond. It's about 12.3 acres. And again, I'm not here to, when you say who's for and who's against, I'm not against. I'm glad that Miss Melanie has been able to sell it, and I'd like for them to pay her more if they could. But we do have some concerns. The drainage, I'm glad that's been addressed. Not only is it a problem for them, they have the easement access and egress to their property, but we've actually had a responding fire truck en route who has bogged down in this mess. So I'm glad that's being addressed. My concerns I'd like to speak to are the fence. Well, there's the photo, and my property is the front. We have many reasons why we're requesting the fence. When she mentioned that we have livestock, I have a complete food chain at my house, and most of them are at the bottom of it. I have 6 dogs. It's a constant struggle within my property. It's a very delicate balance to keep my animals safe and secure from each other. If we have 49 properties and 75, 100, 50 dogs, however many, if they have, I understand people are responsible for maintaining their own animals. However, my dogs get out. Dogs get out. That's the nature of dogs. And when they do and they come to my property, it's going to be devastating for my chickens or ducks or quail or rabbit or baby goats. I did invest in an invisible fence for my property that keeps my dogs in and keeps them away from my livestock. But it doesn't protect my dogs from German Shepherds, but down to Chihuahuas from attacks. So they are all very vulnerable to attack from neighboring properties. And when I set all this up and invested, I only had the Mox and Miss Melanie and Richard, so we really didn't have an issue. But it will be an issue if there are a lot more animals that are going to be in the neighborhood. There are also hazards that are inherent with my livestock. I have electric fences, barbed wire, and then, like I said, I do have the large animals, so I'm worried about, like, children coming over. I'm also, when we're talking about the pond, I understand that everybody has ponds, and I don't know what the term is. I think it's an attractive nuisance. But my pond, with it being private, and with my children being less industrious than they should, my pond is filled up with floats, trampoline, paddle boats, which makes it a more attractive nuisance to children. It's going to be a natural gathering place, and it's isolated. My house is right in front of the pond, but it's practically unmonitored along that fence line. So if we have access to it, it is going to be, there are going to be a draw more so than in a typical pond, because there are toys and paddle boats and things that will attract children with basically no one monitoring it. So I do think that that is an attractive nuisance. There's also a pond in the front, but it's not nearly as much of a draw as the large one. And then the one other item that I want to mention, I was relieved to hear Mr. Burns talking about the need for a fence along the Mox. I did not bring this up at the public hearing because I didn't think it was necessary. I think having a fence is an obvious need. Mr. Mock is a current state patrol officer. I'm recently retired federal law enforcement. I have all of the threats that law enforcement receive. I have received all of them. And mine did not stop when I retired. I don't get any more because I'm not cultivating new cases, but I have folks in prison with nothing to do but think about when they get out. I have relatives who are tired of waiting for their family members to get out. I have death penalty cases which are not going to ease. They are going to, it's going to accelerate as execution comes. It's something that I take very seriously, and I don't just talk it, I live it. My last name in my career is different from my children's for their safety. I researched, all schools are important, all children are important. I researched schools that have particularly vulnerable children that have special programs that acknowledge their particular vulnerability. And I pay dearly for my children to be enrolled. I have private transportation to take them there. I vary my routes. Of course, unlisted everything. I abstain from social media. I live a very low profile, and I live it here, and I always have. Even when I work, I vary my hours, I vary my routes, and I take it seriously. I don't discuss it. I didn't discuss it at the earlier meeting because I didn't think it was necessary. But if there is an officer safety concern at the back of that property, there's one at the front as well. And the only way to keep us whole with the security and the privacy that we paid for and worked for is to have a fence. a no-brainer from where we stand. If we don't have a fence, we're not whole. If we have a fence, then we can put up with not being able to fire and all. And I do not want to block the sale, but to me, it's necessary. We can't function as we have and as we deserve without a fence.
So again, you're not opposed to subdividing it into the lot, you just want the fence?
Not at all. It's, you know, we're happy for Miss Melanie, and I'm happy to have new neighbors. My kids are very happy. They're going to make a lot of new friends, they think. And, so that's fine. Change is inevitable. And if we wanted to do something differently with that property, we had the option to buy it, but we didn't. So obviously that they're free to do what they want to. But it is, I just want to recognize how detrimental it is to the neighbors, strictly for the fence. The drainage was obvious, but the fence is very important. I don't want it to break the sale, but I do want to make sure everybody knows how vital that fence is.
Well, let me ask you this. I have some mixed feelings all the way around in 2 or 3 different directions about it, so I want to try to talk this through and see. And this is, I don't want to sound wrong when I ask this, but it's an honest question. You guys really honestly believe that a 49-lot subdivision without a fence is going to bring that much new danger to you when you haven't provided a fence for yourself to this day?
We haven't needed a fence. We've had no neighbors. My neighbor is a state patrol officer. I feel relatively secure. And I don't believe that I need to live somewhere where I have no neighbors. But I do think that I have taken a lot of steps and a lot of expense, and it's a day-to-day thing for me to protect my children and myself. And I'm mindful of it in every situation that I go into, because I don't think that we're under attack at all times. That's crazy, but I like to live where I don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to worry about that at my house with the security I've set up. Will we be more vulnerable without a fence? Absolutely.
And that's what I was asking. You believe your actual physical safety of harm from people is going to be because there's a residential subdivision coming in?
I don't know that I will be less safe, but that's the problem. I don't know that I will be as safe. So it changes my way of life, and also the safety, little safety blanket that we've built there, where we don't have to worry about. Honestly, the only time I feel a little vulnerable and I'm more aware of my surroundings is during Christmas, because there's a tree farm on the other side, and there are a lot of people coming and going. I don't know that we would ever be under any attack, but the threats are there.
I'm just trying to process it all and try to get my own thoughts and feelings of it, because I will say that in talking to both parties, I had not talked to you and didn't know you even had a concern until tonight. But prior, my thought was that the decel lane was a good thing, that it's not a requirement of Effingham County. So he was agreeing to that as an additional thing that we don't normally require. And the drainage was an extra stipulation. And Mr. Burns had also said to me that he didn't love spending the extra money, but was certainly willing, based on the concern of Mr. Mott's safety for his family. See, where it comes into play is this. Effingham County, we have some policies and procedures that we typically do with zoning, and that's why Mr. Shaw has 4 recommendations, and that's what he recommended, what the county policy is. And then the other 2 recommendations are extra added things that somebody that gets ready to buy something and build it or whatever isn't anticipating. So you're trying to balance the 2 fairness. Do we need to change policy where we always make everybody put up privacy fences in all subdivisions, so when somebody's making a purchase, they already know that in advance? Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Because since it's not, he may have to do it, but he may not have to do it. And he may have to do it, but he may not have to do it. So when is it fair? And so, when they consider the safety, he was saying, he'd be willing to do that on that case. But now tonight I hear there's a second very similar situation of safety concern. Because he was amenable, I think, to like 230 feet of fence, not 2,300 feet of fence. And often these people, these 49 homes that come, when buyers buy them, they put their own fence up. So a lot of them will have fencing at a time, but it's not $80,000 that has to be spent up front, unanticipated, that could block a sale, and then you also don't get your drainage fixed until whenever. So there's all kinds of things that it's affecting, and trying to figure out the balance of that. How many feet of property do you have down that side?
Wild guess, I'd say 2,000 feet.
You're the remaining portion?
Mm-hmm. Mine is all the way to the back of the pond. And when you're asking about officer safety, I mean, it's my responsibility to keep me and mine safe, and I take it very seriously. And like I said, I live it. I don't just talk it, I live it. But I do think...
I can tell you this. If you think... I think I have to worry about my safety every day. That's no
we all do.
If you read the newspaper in Effingham County, you know I probably have to worry about my safety. So
yeah.
I can just tell you.
So I think we should all have a fence. But the fence, honestly, the hazard of the pond, and again, everybody has a pond. That's a very large pond. It's a borrow pit with, I'm not sure what the sides and the bottom, you know, how hazardous that is, but with the extra attractions, I do think it's going to be a problem for the children in the subdivision. I do think that I will lose livestock if there's not a barrier. I do think that the threat to our way of life will, you know, that there's a threat to the way we live now that we will have to lose if we don't have the barrier. And the only way for us to remain whole is to have the barrier. So I don't know what the costs are, if there's some way that we could all work together on it, but I don't want it to block the sale, but I do want y'all to know that it is a problem, and in my estimation, it's pretty much mandatory. The only way for us not to lose too much is to have a fence.
I think if there was something y'all could work out together.
Well, I asked them to do that before this meeting, but I wasn't even aware of her.
When I first built my neighborhood, I had no neighbors. When I had neighbors, kids were running back and forth across my property. I built my own privacy fence for concern with my property.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I didn't ask my neighbors to do it. That sounds point blank, but that's the way I see it.
Oh, I understand it. I wish I had enough. It's not possible for me to circle the pond. Plus, I couldn't because it would block their easement. But as far as going down the length of the property, you know, I've already invested in invisible fencing and the electric fencing and all of my animals. I've invested my money to set it up so that it works for us. And then I've invested in my kids' security by trucking them to this ridiculously expensive school. So I've made an investment, but if I had it, I'd do it. If I had it, I would have bought the property from Miss Melanie. But anyway, I'm sorry to take up so much of your time, but again, I'm not against the sale. Welcome the new neighbors and hate to lose Melanie. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anyone else have something?
Wilson. Based on the new comments tonight, because it's my understanding the second lady just spoke did not bring those complaints up at the planning board. Is that right? So,
correct.
Hearing everything that you've heard tonight, what do you feel like you're prepared to do? We can rule however, I understand that. But I want to see if that made any difference to you, or I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean,
because to be frank with you, I don't mind saying the motion that I was prepared to make based on everything that I've heard was that the fence would cover Ms. Vermont's property. But then when she stands up, basically has the exact same complaint. I don't know how to not do the whole thing, and I don't know. I also don't want to lose this. I don't want to block the sale. I think that's too. I think that would also be harmful in general.
Backing off of this property, just as a concerned landowner of Effingham County, to say whether or not it could disrupt this sale, you know, I back it into if there's $2,000 more an acre to be spent and their project still works, shouldn't we spend that $2,000 more putting it in Melanie's pocket? Why is it this man's responsibility? I do have compassion for and appreciate the public servants putting their safety in the way, and I'd like to figure out how to do something there, but I just, you know, it seems like a large burden to place on the cooler property at a 2,300 foot fence. Especially when you put it up against the competitiveness of that property versus the property down the street who doesn't have a neighbor wanting a fence, and they don't have to put it up. And you know, there's a big difference there. I don't know what the answer is, but you know, I want privacy and safety and all those things for my children as well. And you know, I drive 35 more minutes out into the country for it. I mean, you know, it's not something I can pay for in dollars and cents. I pay for it in years of my life, you know, in the car. So you know, a privacy fence isn't going to give safety. If anybody wants to see their goings and comings, they can sit on Hydefield Road and see when they pull in and out the driveway as good as they can watch them come up and down that property line.
Ms. Martin, do you want to speak? Yes.
Thank you. The purpose of the privacy fence was not just for law enforcement safety. It was also with the idea that it would create a barrier for safety for the residents of the subdivision.
I did understand everything about the pond and those.
Okay. Also, as far as like a resolution as to how to make everybody happy, and I'm not a real estate, I don't deal in that. But isn't it possible that the amount of lots that border the properties, if it was evenly dispersed between, I think it's 27 lots for the privacy fence, that it would be a lot easier for it to be dispersed that way? It would not come out of Melanie's pocket, it wouldn't come out of Mr. Burns' pocket, it would come out of the individual property owners and dispersed 27 ways. It seems like it would be more
required the purchaser.
Later when it's developed, he's developing it, so he has to pay it up front. Later, he could possibly recoup it. I mean, he understands that.
Right, so my thing is that it'd be that you, the commissioner, say, yes, this is needed, and yes, we're gonna, the way that it makes everybody happy financially is that it gets divided out that many ways. Is basic, I mean, this is just a solution that
That's really not something this board could do. It would be in part of the development cost of the developer, and then would spread it out over his lot sale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You say not build a fence at once, but as homes are built, right?
If the fence isn't built at one time, it doesn't serve the purpose that they're asking. Because if you build it one lot at a time, then how about if this house doesn't get built and people are still crossing around in the pond or whatever? Anybody else got anything else? Want to be sure everybody's heard. Things like this are never easy for boards and for individuals on a board, because anytime there's two different sides of an issue, we know that somebody's not going to be happy. So ultimately, we make those motions and make those votes based upon that knowledge. Sometimes that's different. But it's in your district, so I'm going to ask you for your motion.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve this zoning with staff recommendations, with the additional recommendation of adding number 5, natural drainage flow to be restored. And that's it. For the purpose that I do agree that I wish we could provide additional safety for others, but I do think that anybody that wants to see their homes and homes will be able to see that. So that's my motion.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other questions, discussion from the floor? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. And since it is a unanimous vote, we can go to the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Kern and Company LLC that is on 30.76 acres from AR1 to R1, located at 1485 Hodgeville Road, map number 434, parcel number 25 and 29, and map number 435, parcel number 59 in the second district.
I'll make the motion that it mirrors the motion previously.
Motion and a second to approve the second reading. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, Planning Board recommends approving an application by BGN Investments LLC for a sketch plan for 49 lots in the Summer Station subdivision located at 1485 Hodgeville Road, map number 434, parcel number 25 and 29, map number 435, parcel number 59 in the second district.
Yes, sir. This is the sketch plan for the parcels that was just rezoned to R1. 49 lot is what they estimate they'll be able to put on here prior to doing the engineering work. Staff and Planning Board recommended approval after hearing concerns of traffic safety. Planning Board also recommended a deceleration lane on Hodgeville Road.
So this is what we talked about earlier, where in this size subdivision on they don't require, our policy does not require a decel lane, but the board did not recommend it according to policy, and the planning board did recommend it. And Wilson Burns had his engineers design it, and it's designed set. So it would be my intention to make a motion. But I guess we want to see if we have discussion on this now.
It's not a public hearing.
It's good.
It's not. Just a schedule. Okay. Okay. So is there any other board members that want to comment on the motion?
Hear none.
I'll make a motion that we approve the sketch plan with the planning board recommendation 1 through 5, which includes the decel lane.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, sketch plan. The planning board recommends approving an application by Greg House for a sketch plan for 37 lots located on Ralph Run Road, map number 391, parcel number 2 in the 4th district.
Yes, sir. This is a portion of a larger parcel. It is one side of the dirt portion of Ralph Ron Road that runs between McCall Road and Little McCall Road. It has previously been rezoned to AR2, and Mr. House hopes to get in, I believe he's looking at 37. I'm not sure if that's what the total came down to after he did some.
We got a revised.
I already gave it to you.
You got it?
Do you have a copy of this? Put it up.
Total now is 26.
Be 26 lots at best. Once we overlaid the soil map on it, we cut the lots down considerably.
The smallest
I'm
lot,
terrible on that.
smallest lot is in excess of an acre, and some of them are over 3 acres.
Just to address two of the stipulations that were put on the staff report, they do have proof of water source. Sorry, I don't have that with me. Let's see, I forget the company. What's the company name?
It's
Shadow Water.
Mark and Don Smith. I can't think of the name of their water company.
not mistaken, we have a Glenwood subdivision in the county, you were gonna switch it to Wood Glen.
Unless you got a better price for it,
Where is that? Look here.
correct? Wood Glen, we changed it.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Wood Glen.
I'm not that good at names.
How are we addressing the road at Salem?
Well, county does have a policy that unimproved county roads will require improvement. It doesn't state what that improvement is. Mr. House has mentioned to me that by giving the county some additional right-of-way, that's added some improvement to the road. That's a policy, not an ordinance, and it hasn't been uniformly enforced, as I understand.
So you don't include, you don't plan to pave the road?
No, sir.
No, sir. Glenn's granddaddy gave the county the road, and then Glenn gave them some easements for some drainage after the subdivisions up on the hill were built. They had some drainage problems. Glenn gave them some easement, and we've given the county more easement.
How wide is the road now?
60 foot,
What was it before?
20 foot.
Round Brown Road through there wasn't 20 feet?
Yes, sir.
Has that easement already been granted, or that's what y'all are proposing to do?
That's what we're proposing in this. We're widening it out to get to leave 60 feet.
Y'all have improved the road considerably in the last couple of years. I mean, it used to be a hog path that washed out, and you got a pretty good road there now.
County's maintained the road for a number of years. I don't know for certain if we have a deed for it.
It appears to be a prescriptive easement, based on what the surveyor said when it went out. As I said earlier, I have not done any title work on it, but it appears that based on what they said, it was a prescriptive easement. But it was a county-maintained road that the county had maintained.
Long-term plan, you own the land on the other side of the road as well?
Yes, sir.
And plan to develop it?
We do plan to develop it, but we don't know yet what size lots we'll have in there. It could be some acreages, and, you know, depending on the soil type and the demand.
But those would, at some point, have lots facing that road?
Not necessarily.
No, sir. No, sir. That would probably be, I mean, there's 140 something acres left on the other side of the road. You would have internal roads and infrastructure in that side. This side is so narrow, the strip is so narrow, it really is not feasible to try to put a road.
Have y'all thought about the driveways, that many lots? Of course, you cut them down to 10 or 11 of them off. On all these lots, instead of having a driveway for each one, like on McCall Road, where you could put
It'll be
one
shared
driveway for two houses.
for two lots.
That'd be fine.
Shared driveways, definitely.
And we would place them, George wanted us to place them where they would be at least, what was the footage? 150 foot.
I don't remember the number.
And they would actually be more than that. Our lots are over 100 foot wide.
On the state guidelines, 300 feet?
Depending on speed limit. Honestly, I don't know what their road is. At 35, it's 150.
Okay.
45, 230, 55, 350, depending on speed limit.
Well, I'm just, personally, I have an issue with developing those lots on that unimproved dirt road. I think we're backing up, quite honestly. And if you were doing the same thing that we just saw, Mr. Burns bringing us 40-some lots, I mean, he's got to build a road down to service those lots. What's the difference? mean, our policies state that, and I understand that there have been some times that that hasn't been done, but just because it wasn't done before, our policy states that you should approve that road.
I don't,
think it's
your policy or your regulations, because there's a bunch of dirt roads been developed with
I
lots.
said policy, I meant what I said.
Well, I came in and asked George before we purchased this and looked at all the requirements, the speed limit, distance, and inquired about all of that. But and he told me that it had never been required at that point for a road to be paved, a county road to be paved by a private individual.
I gave you a copy of the policy.
You gave me a copy of the speed limit ordinance.
It also had the policy attached to it. It's our road access policy.
I'm about to say I'm being told conflicting things, and
It's on the speed limit ordinance?
Same policy. It has several pages.
About the improvement.
So what is the policy? Exactly.
It says it improves.
Subdivisions lots on unimproved county road will require improvement of said road by subdivider as determined by Effingham County Board of Commissioners. So the level of improvement would be up to the board.
Okay.
We would love to see the road paved, but, you know, it's just a burden that we would not be able to do, quite frankly.
Well, we're in the process of trying to fix roads in Effingham County.
Sure,
We're fixing to create, we're going to create another one.
This road was actually on y'all's list when Glenn gave you the property to pave it, and for some reason it got taken off. We don't really know why. To be paved. It's a long ways from there to the next dirt road.
Can y'all wait till we get it paved?
Probably not.
It's not on your list.
Has this ever been on the list?
Not my time, but I don't know when you're referring to it. Maybe
I don't either. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
It was on the
Before
list.
y'all's time.
Yeah.
And actually, he was one of the contractors that was hired to do it, but they stopped paving before they got to that.
Before 2010, I guess.
We have no problem with deeding you the right of way, whatever you need, 60 foot or if you need more than that. And we're going to put fire hydrants along the road for fire safety. There'll be.
And I can't speak for this board, you understand that? I'm telling
Yes,
you,
sir,
I'm telling you my opinion. I wouldn't have a problem with sharing cost either, since this road would not just be servicing your lots. This actually would be a connector road over to McCall, or Little McCall. So what that total cost would be to build it, I wouldn't have a problem with asking this board to share in that cost so that we wound up with a paved road that services not only your development, because it's not only going to service this, but then it's going to service your future development.
Consider the new rec facility.
I understand that.
I mean, it could become, I'm not saying, I think if we bear some of that cost too, don't get me wrong.
So I'm not saying, and I think that's the point that it says our policy is for the developer to bring this up to a standard road. It doesn't say to what level. It says it's decided by this board.
How long is that road? I mean, I've been down it.
About 4,000 feet.
4,000.
Right at 4,000 feet.
Less than a mile.
Yeah,
But I
it's
believe
about a little less than 2/3.
The other side of Route 9 Road, we're doing improvements there as we move forward on the rec facility.
Oh, yeah.
Who's in the paving business? What would it cost to pave that?
And this gentleman's in the paving business.
I know it. That's,
So what I'm asking is, and I'm just talking.
We can't start paving roads for people.
No. We can pave roads for citizens, and this road services other people.
this is a county road.
But it's not planned to be paved at the current time. So up it on the list because they're going to do a development.
taking a road. No, but we're taking a road. And we're getting them to pay us for part of it.
You would be willing to do that? Pay part of it? First of all, we need to find out what it costs.
And that's all I'm doing is throwing out ideas. I've got a policy that is on record. I mean, this board can elect to grant your sketch plan as it's written. I mean, I'm just telling you my concern. And I'm asking whether or not that would even be a possibility. Have a clue what it would cost to pave that road to county standard?
I could get you some numbers. I should have some ready for you, but I really didn't expect this. This is unexpected.
If the citizens were already there, it'd be different, but they're not there.
Citizens are on both ends, and citizens use that road every day.
People use that road.
Okay.
And we were looking at that reason.
No,
We're looking at it for this reason.
we got a reason to address now.
And I'm just thinking down the road that this road will eventually potentially die into the wreck, and I can just see that becoming a higher traffic and get into that.
But if you're making the point we were going to do it, I was trying to figure out if you're bringing a village plan, okay, and maybe I'm slow, but if the point is, it's something we're going to have to do in the long run, and they'll share the cost, then it could save us now. You got to say that clearly.
You get there eventually.
I do. That was coming.
I think what you could possibly do is allow that future connection we've always talked about in the parkway. It takes out a lot of that very curvy part of Little McCall. If we could make it flow through properly over to McCall, but we are improving this part of that. It may serve a fairly beneficial function. I don't know that angle. I mean, we may have to do something different to that.
Well, is this something that can be tabled tonight?
We certainly can't expect them to improve it to serve anything more than what.
I think that's the law.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking ahead.
What about tabling it tonight? I don't know what the timetable is.
What you fellas think about that? I mean,
About what?
Yeah, I couldn't hear Ms. Beard.
Yeah, it's not
What,
fair.
would y'all like to come up with some costs to what it's going to cost to pave that road to county standard, make it a viable county road, and let's sit back down and talk about this thing before we take action whether to approve the sketch plan or not, and see if there's something that we can do to work this out. Or would y'all rather have a vote?
I think we would rather have a vote.
Because at this time, I'm going to ask this board to deny this. I'm going to tell you.
I understand.
And I don't care.
If it's denied, what does that mean? What is the new rules now on denial?
When it's only
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. That's what I'm asking.
That's why I recommended the possibility of.
Okay, how about this?
Even for
This is not zoning. This isn't
not zoning.
This is not zoning.
Okay.
How about this? $100,000, less than $100,000 to pave the road to subdivision specs, if they're still the same as they were 5 years ago. 1.5 inches of paving, 8 inches of rock.
Well,
Is that right, Toss?
Sorry, say that again.
1.5 inches of topping on 8 inches of rock, still the spec.
That's county.
All right, less than
What I'm
$100,000 to
saying is
pave it. We'll do this.
would y'all be amicable to work those numbers out, work with staff, and let's put this back on our next agenda?
How about this? We make y'all this proposal. We'll get everything ready. We'll pull your ditches, we'll grass them. We'll get your dirt ready, we'll pack it, it'll be graded. Y'all bring us the rock, we'll put it down, we'll grade it, we'll pack it, we'll wet it. We'll turn it loose to your paver. Y'all pay the paving costs and buy the rock. We'll do everything else. That'll help y'all get y'all's road paved and it'll help us.
You do everything except back and forth.
I do anything except what?
I say you do everything ready except put the 2 inches to 2.5 inches asphalt.
Y'all can put however much asphalt y'all want, and we'll put down whatever rock y'all want to put down. I'll do all the work. All y'all got to do is buy the material and have the asphalt.
What I was asking is if you want to put that and work with staff and get that in writing so that this board can consider that. We need those numbers, we need the facts so that this board can consider it. Then I will ask this board to postpone this vote until our next agenda. But I don't think we're going to sit up here tonight and say, well,
So there's not a 6 month to vote on it, what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it was unable to stay on. Because frankly, listen, we have a bunch of messed up roads all over this county.
I know.
And we have to be sure that we don't, that I'm not going.
You should have been here when they were all dirt.
I would probably, they'd probably still be dirt
I wish
roads and
I'd been
ash.
here when it was ash.
Anyway.
Would that be amicable to you folks?
I would just like to ask the attorney, is this something that's even feasible? Is this legal, what we're talking about here?
I would,
I know y'all.
I never like to tell the board no, and if we could table it, I'd take a look and see if there's a way to do it.
And that's why I'm asking us to table this thing, to give everybody a chance to look at it.
I don't mean necessarily the way you threw it out there is legal, but there may be a way that, and that's.
Is it the amount of lots, or is it using the road at all, or I'm just curious as to what?
It's the fact that I like to abide by policy, and there's a policy in place that states that the developer must bring that road up to condition.
No, that's not exactly what it says.
Well,
you read it.
It says improvements. Right now, you got a 20-foot road with no fire hydrants, and you'd end up with a 60-foot legal road.
The fire hydrant's required, that ain't got nothing to do with the road.
And I
don't think you could pave it right now, could you, legally?
You what?
Could you even pave it with a 20-foot?
That may be why it come off the agenda.
I didn't know how wide it was.
all right.
Anyway, we don't want to get in another.
I'm gonna bring this thing to a motion one way or the other. I'm asking, can we table this thing and let's get these numbers together so that the board has all the information?
If there's not a time delay, I'd ask for a vote and then let's see what happens and move forward. If it's not a 6 month.
We have another meeting on the 5th of next month.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm gonna make a motion to table it to the 5th of next month.
He's asking for a vote on the sketch.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, before I think we got one other potential issue, which I don't know the outcome we discussed briefly, which is service delivery and requirements for water provisions in there. Whether or not we can just allow them to use a private provider without actually denying that request.
Well, that's another issue that I wasn't even gonna come to, but.
Well, if you wanted to up and down vote, I just want to go ahead and get their opinion. I don't know that y'all, I don't know if y'all were asked or not. You just were told we didn't have county water, so you went and got it.
I did talk with Springfield and they said it was too far for them to serve, and they were the closest one that I'm aware of.
County.
The county has the first.
But where are y'all close to there?
We don't have any infrastructure on the ground, and I guess what I'm saying is if the county wanted to, we have groundwater allocations, that would be up to the board whether or not they wanted to utilize those allocations in this regard. And I didn't know what the nature of the conversations were on that, if you just went to a private provider.
We really don't care who serves it with water. We just know we have to have water to develop. So.
And if that's the case, the board may want to consider, serving this rather than a private provider, is really all it's getting at. And if there's any desire to have that conversation, we need to do it at this time too.
I'd like to serve them with water. We might have a big water line running through there, and then we pull that one up and use it somewhere else.
Well, and I certainly appreciate what you're saying about not knowing what's coming in there. I was just looking at the letter from utility, which indicates 188 lots. So there's more than 27 coming. Whatever that number is.
Well, that's on the very high side. Yeah.
So there's some other number that will be coming, at some point. That again, if y'all want to entertain that possibility, we can have those discussions.
That gets a whole nother can of worms.
And it may not need to be dealt with at this point. I don't know where y'all are contractually until you get to that point.
I don't think it's feasible for you guys to drill a well for 26 lots. I don't see how that would work.
All right.
I think the question is what is required to get it to the level for these lots? I think that's the only thing we can make a decision on, right?
Well, it's not 37, it's 26 lots.
Yes, sir. And I was asked to get a letter provided for the water source, and we did that, and a sketch for the water line, where it was tying in and all that, we did that. So it doesn't, I don't have a dog in that fight as far as water, because I don't have any water allocation, so.
All right. So someone can give me a motion to approve the sketch plan? Somebody give me a motion to deny the sketch plan?
What? I made a motion to table it until the 5th of May.
All right. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to table this until May 5th. Is that correct?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is so tabled.
What would you ask us to do between now and May the 5th?
Yeah. Good question.
Good question.
Pray.
Here again, I'm speaking for myself. This board just took action to table it. I don't know exactly what all they're wanting, but personally,
well,
I would like to see the cost of that road doing exactly what you said, whatever.
you also need to check on the water situation.
We can check with Eric to see if we can, what we can do with the road.
There you go.
So we'll get with Eric on that.
All right.
I think what the board needs to decide is what kind of improvements do we think are necessary for this road to start this 26 miles.
We
I think that's the bottom line.
We need to deal with an ambiguous policy.
Well, he's already said they will do everything except put the asphalt on top of it.
Because how many new houses do you want?
And by the road.
That's right.
That's the question.
And personally, I think that is a fair offer, if you're asking me. I mean, what they're saying they will do.
That's a dollar amount?
They will widen that thing to 60 feet. They'll drain the ditches. They will do all of the improvements. They'll leave it ready for asphalt. That's what you were saying.
No, sir, y'all buy the rock. Y'all buy the rock, we'll put the rock down. And we'll make it ready for asphalt with y'all supplying the rock and the asphalt.
Even that might be. One thing about it, it would be improving it, and if the board was to decide that was adequate improvement.
I think it would be.
What's the matter?
All right, we'll see you May the 5th.
Thank you.
All right, folks, have I overlooked anything? All right, we gotta have another executive session if I can have that done.
You want to do committee report first, Chairman, or?
Oh, I guess so.
It won't take long. I'm afraid of
Go ahead.
Ready? You have to pass your monthly fire, and senior citizens and animal control reports and a quarterly EMS report. Core MPO reports, and this may take just a second. You should all have up there bylaws, draft bylaws, a draft MOU, some fact information sheets, various pieces of information that were provided to us by Core. They have requested that you all approve the MOU by May the 15th, which means that they want it on your next board meeting on the 5th. So we went ahead and gave you all the information that you can go ahead and have a chance to take a look at that. I believe Mr. Thompson has offered to be here. Now, I have asked him to do some scheduling, where he's at. If y'all like it, the basic gist of it is we're still just the metropolitan area, and it's a very small area. I don't think it'll have much of an impact. The bottom line was we wind up in the proposed MOU, which has been voted on by CORE's technical, their executive committee or policy committee, is that we get one vote on their executive committee, policy committee, and that our dues would be about $1,500 a year. So that $50,000 number went way down to about $1,500. So it's not a big impact. So how do y'all want to handle that? They have asked us to look at it. Y'all want to have some discussions when we talk to you about it, or you should have it to look at. There's a final conference report on House Bill 170. I know everybody's seen it. I put it in there because it's just one of the better, for some reason I've seen it. If you ought to look at it. Benton Boulevard PIOH, May the 5th, which unfortunately is the date of our next meeting, so none of us will be able to attend that. From 5 to 7, there'll be a public information open house on Benton Boulevard at the Godley Station. I believe it's high school over at Godley Station anyhow. Westwood Heights, back in March, March 3rd, we discussed this briefly. Ms. Jones had a concern, not Commissioner Ms. Jones, but Ms. Jones in Westwood Heights had a concern about water standing in her ditches over there. And what we discussed at the time is it would require replacing of basically all the driveway pipes. The issue was they were sort of up and down, and it was just holding a little bit of water. Jerry's went through and counted them and kind of figured out the pipes to replace all of those. And this will be similar to Green Drive, other than Green Drive actually had a flooding issue. This will be to relieve about 3/10 of water, half a foot of water in the bottom of the ditch. Is just over $100,000. Do any of y'all want to move forward with that at this point in time, or do we want to just continue to move on? And if you recall what I shared with you, it's not a flooding issue. The water doesn't come out of the ditches like it did on Green Drive. It's simply that the pipes are up and down, so that the downstream pipes higher and upstream, and it holds that amount of water.
I just don't believe the level of need even approaches what we dealt with before.
Well, Green was a flooding issue for property damage. This is simply a nuisance because of standing water, for all the nuisances of standing water. So I just keep you authorized to go forward. The house that was surplus on the property that we acquired from the bank for recreational property. March 17th, this board awarded, accepted the bid for Theodore Gordon Ministries. At that meeting, y'all were very specific to add a clause or some terminology to that bid indicating a time frame, which was 30 business days from the date of the offer acceptance, which, if my math is right, is April 28th. Either way, it's coming up fairly soon. Theodore Gordon Ministries have paid us for that structure. They hit some temporary setbacks. They're trying to move it to the cooler, and there were some rezoning issues with the property that they wanted to move it on to. Ms. Johnson called them today. They intend to move in next week. I think they can have it out within a week. So I'm asking the board for direction. My recommendation is they paid the money. We need it gone. They're asking for a little bit of additional time.
Well, the concern was that it just sits there forever. They're trying. They've had, a few days. I don't think this board got a problem with it.
So they will technically be in default of that. I just want everybody to understand. So we'll move forward and just continue to have dialogue with them to get it out of there. And I don't remember date. Recently, Mr. Helmy with the school board sent all of you an email about Old Augusta Road and a bus turnaround. We're having buses turn around on the shoulder of the road, and, rather than going up 21 and coming back around. And in all the rain that we've had, it gets a little mushy over there, and the buses were sort of bogging and had a little bit of issue. And what he was asking was for us to help with some maintenance. The reason we've never moved forward with that, and he indicated this has been going on for a while, is basically putting dirt on top of dirt's not going to help. We need to put some stone over there. And if you look at there, it's a bus that's turning around. It's a fairly large area that they're using to turn around on. So Jerry put together some numbers based on 150 by 75 half circle, basically, for them to do it. And I apologize, it's attached. I didn't print that copy. I believe it was about $8,500. Now we're 4 weeks away from school ending. Things change. I don't know if the bus league need to do that next year. So I'm just asking guidance. And I don't know we haven't done it in 4 weeks anyhow. And basically it's the cost of the start. We were going to put it in, but it's 75.
There's no stage road too if it keep on doing it, it's gonna chip out the edge of the road, so.
If they do, but you know, every one of those drives are paved up to the property line too. I'm not sure why they keep just pulling a paved drive and back out, but that's.
So they just an area off the side of the road, they're making a big turnaround.
If you,
Same ditch.
That's funny, I actually
paid attention on that.
I didn't know they made it as far.
We acquired 4 lanes of right of way.
Okay.
So there's a huge, so yeah, they're just pulling around. It's a big wide shoulder.
You're trying to save them from having to go all the way to.
Correct. And it's a fuel savings, but I don't know it's $8,500 over 4 weeks. You know, we'd be better off paying them $500 and fill the top tank off.
Yeah, but I'll be there from now on too.
Yes. Well, as long as the child's still there, you know, the bus routes change every year. I don't know if they'll need to do it again next year.
We could wait till the.
So if y'all want to wait till next year and we just have some correspondence with Mr. Helmy, say closer to next year, if it's still an issue, let us know what will happen.
And I would assume it'd probably be a maintenance issue with tires turning, you know what a bus is gonna, you know, it's not gonna.
Yeah, and mowing grass is an issue for that. That's why we've never done it. It was just, you know, $8,500 expense that I think could be solved a different way if they just did a little different. So if it's fine with y'all, we'll just have some dialogue and keep moving forward, try to get out of school this year and see what happens next year. One other thing I'll bring up that I really don't have any answers on or know, and I hope the chairman knows more than I do. Chatham County is conducting this 2035 blueprint for Chatham. It's this Coastal Georgia Indicators Coalition, and we've been corresponding back and forth a little bit, but the last one I was trying to set up a meeting, and I believe she said she had one set up with you for next Wednesday, which I can't go to because I'm going to be at a core MPO meeting because Tom's asked me to present the Effingham Parkway. But then she also indicated something about a May 28th, they were leaving it open for community conversation.
Chatham County has contracted with this consulting company basically to look at a blueprint for how to work together with neighboring counties. So Al called me up and asked me if I would be willing to sit down and talk. And I said, sure. And he asked me again this weekend if I had set up a time. I said, yeah, I set up a time with him. But then I saw your email back and I don't know. I don't really know anything about it until I sit down and talk to him.
It sounded to me like all they really wanted from us was help in gathering an audience and a venue to do this, that they would have the town hall, they would do the itinerary, the agenda, and whatever conversation. It's almost like a stakeholder group is the way I took it. Is they're just looking for a group of people to ask questions to, and they wanted our help with getting that group of people in the room. But that's what I don't understand about May the 28th. That's, if we're inviting people, and I'm saying it to the minute, if y'all are intending to be there and don't know anything, I don't know what it's about. So I'm just telling y'all that we're going on the road, we're trying to figure out what this is. We're not driving the ship. We're just,
I don't know what it's about, but you know, people ask me, I sit down and I listen to see what it is about. Because I'm just not going to sit there and carry on all these emails back and forth trying to determine something.
Well, Lee Smith had called me, and it was right before I went out of town, and I forgot to take his number, so it was a week later, and I sent an email. I've never talked to him.
Well, that was Smith. That was the Chatham County manager.
And this other, and I can't remember the young lady's name, Tara Jennings. Yeah, she's been involved. Dinah King was involved at one point. She and I talked. But basically what Dinah told me is she felt like they weren't the right group to do what they wanted, the elected officials to assimilate it. So she had asked Lee. Anyhow, there's something going on.
Well, if you want to be in the meeting, I'll try to rearrange it to where you could be there.
Well, that's CORE's policy committee meeting, and Tom asked me to come do a present this Thursday and the following Wednesday to both TCC and that one. So I had told him I would previously. So I'll be, and it's at 10 o'clock also. At NPC.
I'll change the time if you want.
That's fine either way.
All right, we'll talk.
One last thing that I'm going to ask, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm asking. Joy will be out here in a minute. I know she is. We've been working towards improvements on our website and looking around at things. And I think what we've really come to the conclusion of is we can't really afford an enterprise-based solution. One is just the whole deal, you know, everything at one time. But so we're trying to get different vendors to do different things out there, as long as they'll all talk to one another. And one of the first pieces we want to get in place is in recreation. There was some issues with the last sign-up, with forms not being available when people showed up. It's a very laborious process in which they take a huge box of pre-printed forms and everybody sits around and fills them out. It's a lot of overtime, it's a lot of staff time, and it's just way too simple to do online. You know, they invented that technology a year or two ago.
Antiquated, what they're doing.
And so, long story short, we've selected a vendor that we want to do here. There is a one-time cost and a yearly fee, and it's for training, and it's a upfront cost of $4,300, $4,295, $2,600 for training, and $1,500 annually for maintenance. The only thing that keeps us as staff from buying this is it's got this nice agreement for services here that requires the board to sign this document. Normally we will put this on your agenda, and if you tell us to, we still will. But the reason we didn't want to wait until May the 5th is if we go ahead and pull the trigger on this, there's some setup work that this company has to do to get it in here on our servers and set up. They can have it by May 18th. We want to have it by May 18th because June to early July is our next massive online sign up, and I committed to y'all to have it now. And we don't want to have it June 29th on a July 1 sign up. You know, we want to have some time to make sure it works. If we wait till the 5th, it's obviously going to push that date back a little bit and get us a little close there. So I guess what we're asking is, I don't know what I'm asking. That's
Does the 43 or 42.95 include the training?
No, sir. No, sir. It's
So
43 plus
total
26.
cost is 43,
6900
bucks.
But then after the first year, we don't have to pay all that, right?
No, sir. No, 1,500 a year.
We would have somebody that could train and do
Correct.
employee on how to.
Yeah, and this software allows online sign up. It allows teams. It's a really powerful software, and it'll also send out text and email alerts that if the game's canceled, it'll do team buildings. It does a lot of stuff, and I'm being Joanne and Clarence watched it. They both thought it was really great. It handles our financial part really well.
That's included. I mean, can we cover this in our fiscal year budget for recreation?
Yes, sir. I believe we can. I believe we can pay for it just in staff time alone.
Honestly, with their sign-ups, they're literally getting sheets and triplicates that we're paying for and staff time. So it's a good value of the dollars. It just comes with an agreement that requires board approval, frankly.
And that agreement, however, is a month-to-month agreement. It is not, an annual agreement that we cannot get out of. It is a month-to-month agreement. So it doesn't bind us longer
The
than 30
program
days.
does it sound, and the training does it sound, the $1,500 a year sounds a little.
I don't know, software's.
Yeah, well, that's where they get you.
Yeah.
I know there was a question that we would handle like we give a discount for multiple children in a family.
Well,
Does it count for that?
Yes, sir, it does. Currently, it's a manual process, but within this particular document, we've actually stipulated that we wanted that automated, and within the actual sales agreement, we've stipulated that that's part of it. That's why we need to go ahead and get an approval on it, so that they can get that mod in there and not wait till the next time.
Basically, when they fill it out and they click 2 kids, it's gonna.
That's exactly right. And it also replaces another piece of software that we're currently using to do some of the teams and schedules and so forth. It is the best out of about 3 that we looked at. It marries the slickness and the versatility along with the sign-up piece of it. It also allows us to currently use our current point and pay, which is how we get our credit cards in. So we don't have to go through that piece again.
Is somebody else using it that we've been able to talk to find out if they're happy with it?
We've done 2 demos now. We have talked with other people that are currently using it. Clarence, I think was, what did he tell you? Pretty well delighted with it as far as the versatility of it. I think it's the best for the value and the ability to get us up and running as quickly as possible.
Does this thing give us statistical information, like whenever I ask where are these kids and where are they coming from, where do they live, will it give us that information?
Yes, sir. It gives us that information. The data will actually be ours. It does export to Excel and so forth, so that we'll be able to use it for reporting purposes also.
All right. So it would give us information as to where people live, names, addresses, contact, tracks everything.
It also will text, email, and so forth, so that we are able to, put those messages out broadly to people. And the versatility to me of this particular one was, if you go in there and you're in a family, it allows you to sign up those individuals all at one time, whereas some of them you have to get back out of, go back into, and so forth.
I'm a parliamentarian. Can we just, as a board, say do this?
Yeah.
Basically, it's in your expenditure.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Just kind of running it by us, right?
Well, what I need to know is somebody's got to sign this agreement. Can the board just say, allow the chairman to sign it, or do you need to add it and vote? And that's what our parliamentarian is talking about.
Yeah, you can add it to the agenda this evening. If you want, you can.
Because if it's considered an agreement and we're supposed to vote, then sign it. Okay.
Correct. It needs to come before the board at some point. You can add it tonight. You can tell Toss to go ahead and initiate whatever it takes to get it started and ratify his action at the next meeting. The agreement is pretty straightforward. I've had a chance.
We did send it here.
So, I don't have any objection to adding it if you want to do it that way.
I say add it in for the sake of expedience.
They run out of forms over at Sand Hill, and I got beat up on Facebook.
Well,
And we need this software.
I don't normally like to add things at the last minute, but this is not a type of issue that a citizen's going to come on and complain about. And it's not typically a public. Yeah.
Because if you don't get it up and running in time to make sure that it's debugged, you won't be able to use it for your
Correct. And we want staff to be able to use it for several weeks prior to.
Not a problem.
And there's also some programming time, like we said, to get the discounts in this. We want to make sure it's fully functional.
What's the name of it?
Sportsman.
You've got material in your,
Sportsman.
Recreation service. Would you like a motion to add it to the agenda?
May I have a motion to add that as a new business number 10?
Number 9, number 10.
All right. Now give me a motion.
Make a motion to add agenda item under new business number 10 to consider, how shall I word this? Consider authorizing the chairman
Consider it to authorize the chairman to execute an agreement with Sportsman SQL.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Keys, then we go.
All right. So we've already had discussion. Can I have a motion? And you allow me to
I
sign.
make a motion to approve the chairman to execute signed agreement, the agreement with Sportsman.
Second.
wait, don't we need to add something else to authorize Thomas to be able to sign it?
They were authorized the chairman to sign it.
Let the chairman sign it tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Sign it tonight, but in the future, so he doesn't have to sign it every time he wants to sign it.
Oh, there's additional.
So you want to sign
Just for the year.
it.
month-to-month agreement, we can get out of it.
Right, it doesn't have to be.
I don't have to sign it.
Doesn't have to be presented.
You good?
Okay.
Got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll sign away. All right?
Oh, yes, sir, I know, sorry.
Oh, everybody's going to sleep on this. Are you going to sleep on this?
I'm doing one.
Oh, no, we got this. What else you got?
That's it, I've got another.
Oh, I thought you said you had.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
All right. George, go ahead.
Yes, sir. You should have 2 items in your packets for this month. The first is your monthly financial report for March. So if you have any questions or issues, or please give us a call. The second one is an outline of some major changes and highlights that GASB is imposing. It's called GASB 67 and 68. Those mandates basically require us to include our retirement plans within our financial statements. Yes, sir. And it's quite extensive as far as some of these changes. So it's giving you a little bit of an overview. I did put within this basically a summary. It's one of the better summaries. It's quite intrusive as far as the information, but I think you need to be aware of that, and we are working with the actuarial at this point to make sure that we have this information available for us this year.
Every time you try to streamline something, somebody comes along and makes something else more complicated.
Yes, sir. What it basically does is say we must report our retirement plans within our financial statements rather than the notes of the financial statements.
Right. Any other stats? Commissioner?
How about the recreation? How about the recreation item number 21? None of that stuff's come back, or when that's coming before the board, or what?
No, sir. No, sir. We still have the proposal from the consultant. If y'all want to do it, I think we were trying to see if we could do some more in-house, and we get to actually hire somebody. So we do need to move forward. I need to make decisions. How you want to do it. If you want to hire a consultant to get started, or wait a bit. So y'all.
We already got the stuff from CHA?
We have a proposal to do the work.
400 and...
It's almost $500,000.
Good God.
That's why we didn't bring it to you.
That's why we're trying to do it.
Okay.
So we're trying to find another way to do it in some of these hiring.
Still utilizing a consultant.
Yeah, we would have to, for parts of it, yes, sir, absolutely.
We're still looking for an engineer, for someone.
With the hopes of getting someone that can assist in that and save a couple hundred of those thousands of dollars.
Okay.
It's the reason we have a problem for now. If y'all want me to bring it to you, I'll be glad to. It's sitting right in there. It's
No, we'll wait another week.
okay.
No, that's all I have.
I sent Paul an email yesterday, maybe. But I've had some people asking me about the AED automatic defibrillators. I know they're located in some of the schools. I don't know if there's any grant available. Just something to look at.
Yeah, I don't know. I can check into it. I am not aware of any. Now, I'm not telling you there's not some direct maybe somewhere, but there's not any in any of these buildings around here.
Well, I've had, and mostly I hear it with Rick with the youth sports, but I think it could apply to a lot of other places. In fact, Clint was telling me earlier when he was working with EMS that it was actually used at one of the sites in middle or high school. It was used and it worked. Just something to consider moving forward.
provide, the sign for home of Billy Currington?
What?
The home of Billy Currington?
City of Rankin.
City of Rankin did that. I had some people, ask me about, would we be willing to do something to do a similar type sign somewhere in the county, for Josh Reddick. He is a South Effingham graduate, high school graduate that has played for the Boston Red Sox and now plays for the Oakland A's. And so I thought it might be a good possibility that we could put some kind of sign up at like home of Josh Reddick. I don't know, feel that be. So that's something that we're willing to consider. I'd like to kick it around and put it on the agenda. Just to do something reasonable in that respect. It's not too often that some of our local people get to pro level and look them up on would a peak yet?
And that's Effingham County's big recreation facility anyway.
He won the Gold Glove Award in 2012, and he's
A lot of times he
September.
leads the team on the
he just hit 3 lines. I mean, it's just
very talented.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all right with me.
Okay.
I think we should, just for current, other people's play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't ask. They didn't ask, and you know.
Well, and he does different things for the community as well.
Yeah, he's got a foundation.
He does, he gives back.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious now something you can do. I say you can't do for everybody, but maybe no more than what actually does make it to the pros, maybe we can. I don't know. I mean, how many are good enough to make it to the pros? And if they go stay out of trouble and are good role models, I think that's a positive thing to consider anyway. So maybe we put that on that agenda at least for conversations. That's all I have.
Where, have we let our road pavement out for bid yet?
No, sir. We are very, very close to that. The restriking went to Fiona. She should be sending that to the attorney. Morgan was working today. We talked the last time about actually converting that over from an invitation to bid to request for proposal. And we had it pretty much done and then realized we didn't do that. So she's converting it over to an RFP format. And we're working on that today, so we should have it. We'll have it by this week. And then it'll go to Fiona to the attorney, so it'll still be another week or so. The meat of the document is done, we just had to make it work.
Can we meet summer pavement schedule? Anything else? Any other staff?
Real quick, Mr. Chairman, I got this under my door earlier today. It's the Effingham County Town Hall meeting, Police and Community Relations. It is Thursday the 23rd, 6:30 to 8:30 at the Board of Education Auditorium here on Ash Street. They will have a panelist that's going to include Sheriff McDuffie, Chief Wynn, Chief Scholl, and some other people.
Okay, I'm sorry. Tell me what this is.
It's a town hall meeting. I'm sorry, I'm still probably not going to be very loud. It's town.
Yeah, I got
Town hall
something
meeting sponsored by who?
NAACP and just.
It doesn't say that here. It says the
The one for
purpose
law
of this
enforcement.
town hall meeting is to begin a constructive, community-centered dialogue leading to development of a progressive agenda wherein the county and law enforcement can improve relations, work together to help our youth, and maintain Effingham County as a great place in which to live, work, and play.
What time and where?
From 6:30 to 8:30, Thursday the 23rd at the Board of Education Auditorium.
I've talked to some folks, and they said they would like the public officials to be there, because we are not on the panel, because that's what I couldn't get clarified of who was the panel. But it's law enforcement, but they would like all public officials to be there, because they'd like to recognize us.
I have to congregate back to
Who is on the phone?
I think Sheriff McDuffie,
I believe somebody was police.
I think magistrate.
Yeah, Scott Hanson. There's an attorney and assistant public defender.
Okay. Anybody else? Give it to me, Phil. Give it to me, Phil.
Make a motion to go into executive session session to discuss personnel, property, and pending litigation.
Second, all in favor? So adjourned.
Sugar Jack.
Oh, is your head a little better?
Yes, I told him one more thing.
Yeah, that's what I did, I was there for.
All right, I got before us the executive session minutes from
March
March
17th.
17th. Need a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve the March 17th executive session minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Without objection, we stand adjourned.
Okay, who did that?
Yes. That was fast enough. Oh,
I mean, I still think he's got it. Jamie's ready to go?
Ready to walk out?
Yeah.
Can we stop it?
He'd also, lunch to the fair lunch.
And he said what they do, he's coming back. But he sleeps real good.
Ready?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Keith?